video is sponsored by our first ever sponsor, Don't Hide the Plug. Don't Hide the Plug is an apparel company co-founded by two brothers from Flatbush, Tafari and Rossi Harper. Now, these two black brothers have created an amazing, inspiring, high-quality brand. Now, you see on Infominds, a lot of our content is New York-based. We love New York, so it's only fitting that we partner up with a New York-based brand, Don't Hide the Plug. Now, they got some fire fitted hats, hoodies, T-shirts, and I'm feeling the old New York design with the bridge logo. They got the clout joints, the dad hats, and you can also have them delivered to you in the resealable merch by the pound bags, too. Now, mind you, they might be New York-based, but their apparel is for everyone, whether you're from New York, Miami, Texas, Chicago. It's a grassroots movement. Get in tune. And they offer free shipping on all domestic orders of $75 or more. But if you enter the exclusive Infominds promo code, you'll get an additional 10% off at checkout. You already know I ordered my package. My package is on its way. So I'll be wearing and showcasing the Don't Hide the Plug apparel in my next live. Go out and support these brothers. Check out their website. I put the link in the description box. Don't Hide the Plug.
Peace, peace, peace. Peace, community.
Peace, community. Peace, community. If you're new, welcome to the community. If you're a part of the community, welcome back. I'm live with Cartoon Cat, the amazing Cartoon Cat. I might have to add.
Hey.
I was definitely trying to, get into some different topics, get into some different things that are plaguing us. We are going to be sharing a video of, we were wondering how could we go about bringing up this topic, because there's so many ways and there's so many things that we can talk about when we discuss a topic such as this one. But I did want to piggyback off a video that has been going viral, and it's a triggering video, so I do want to say trigger warning. It's a video of a YouTuber. I'm not familiar with this YouTuber, but the YouTuber's name is Freeze, and the video is of this man, if this is this man, and he is abusing his girlfriend, and he is really beating her, and then she actually records him, and he's like getting his conversation while they're in the car. So I do want to just say trigger warning to that, but we do want to understand toxic relationships and understand it from a lot of aspects, and me being a man, understanding from a woman, why do women try to or have this inherent need to want to fix broken men, or is that possible? Can you ever really fix a broken man? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when I have friends or girls that I know and stuff like that, they be like, I just fixed him up and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, he just took the property and moved the real estate over there. You know what I mean? I done fixed the property up. You done fixed this person up. These people tend to do stuff like that. So, I'm looking for people's thoughts. Kat and I are looking for all of our decisions, all of our thoughts on stuff, So it's going to be triggering, though. It's going to be triggering.
Fucking listen, bitch. Stop hitting me. You already hit me. You still already hit me. You stop hitting me. Fucking go, bitch. Who you think fucking?
This is triggering the healers. Oh, Jesus. Did it stop?
I think it froze. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, it's on the screen.
All right, cool. Maybe it froze for a reason. Shit.
I don't know if I want to see this.
Okay, these things is very triggering, man. I don't know if I really want to see this thing. Oh, boy.
It's been a lot of this week. We've seen a lot of things, a lot of violence, a lot of abuse, specifically when it comes to like relationships. This is just another one to add to this. Crazy.
Yeah, though, but it just leads to that question, because we can attack this thing from both women and men, like, because men might have the same inherent need to want to fix, a broken woman the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been guilty of that in my life. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when we are guilty of that type of stuff, you know, it's because we ourselves are broken sometimes, you know? That's what I feel sometimes. How do you feel about that, guy?
I think so. When it comes to people dealing with somebody new in a relationship, sometimes they might even see early signs that somebody perhaps is carrying some hurt, maybe carrying some damage, or has been broken some way, emotionally, psychologically, you know. I think a lot of times people, especially when you're new and why they do it, they don't always look into it deeper than they probably should. They take it at face value, because I think all of us have been there where we've been in perhaps relationships that didn't end the best. You know, it might have been a good relationship, but towards the end, things might have got into a bad place, you know. So I think oftentimes people will like, oh, okay, well, they're just saying this about an ex or carrying these bad emotions because things didn't, you know, end very well. But oftentimes, and it's not until we usually find out a bit later on that the whole relationship's been in some way toxic, you know. And I probably only had one relationship like that. I can talk about that a little bit later, but toxicity in a relationship, it can come out in different ways, you know. Here we're seeing
Physical violence.
physical, yeah, that's I guess for a lot of people would be the extreme end, but it can come in a lot of different ways. So yeah. It'd be interesting. You know, in my formative years, like my early like 20s, I really didn't experience, like, I was lucky enough to have, you know, what you would class as like healthy relationship, at least healthy in my eyes. You know, they weren't abusive. They ended for the most part amicably. You know, there wasn't a lot of drama or cheating or not trusting in them and what they're doing, you know, checking their phone and trying to control who they're with or who they spend time with, things like that, that can
Lead.
be early
Yeah.
signs to look out for. Mm.
Yeah, to controlling, to narcissism, to narcissistic behaviors. We did another video on Zach Stacy. You know, that was crazy to see him throw the girl into the TV and then lift up and throw into the baby walker and stuff like that. You know, you see
Oh
people
God.
exhibiting violence like that. Like, it's just so hard to see. It's like really hard. Like, I muted this. Like, I'm glad that this thing is lagging. Maybe my thing is moving slow because I'm doing this right now from my phone. This whole show I'm doing from my phone right now. But I'm glad that it did lag, because it's really triggering and gives me anxiety to even hear, like, how we heard this person right here that's on this stream right here on the picture going off on this girl, and she's on the bed right there.
And this is on a live stream? Like, how is this recorded?
This is because I think she was filming him and catching his abuse, because after this, if this can play right now, I did this video. It's on my stream right now. It's on my channel. I put this video up just now. You know what I'm saying? And he's abusing her. He's on the bed. He's like, he's abusing her, fighting her, hitting her on this bed right here. This is him, his foot right there on top of her right now. Okay, she's laying on the bed right now. And that foot you see is him, and he's on top of her right now. Then after that, the video just kind of like ends up switching, and now she's in the car, and she's like, no, you hit me in my face, you punched me, no, you know, but you hit me like this, you hit me hard, nah, you did that. So she got the phone like down, like she recording it, but he don't know. It looked like he don't know that he being recorded. So she probably had the phone over there. This is the only way I can see, because there's no way I could see him catching this on live unless, you know what I mean, the Lord just work in the greatest ways, no mystery about it, you know what I mean? Because it's crazy how this is caught.
Yeah. Do you mind dropping the link?
Yeah, I'll drop the link.
Sorry, Versi, I didn't see your. Yeah, please come on if anyone. It's an open panel. Anyone wants to come on and talk about this subject. I know it's not the most. It's quite a depressing one to tackle, but I think it's a good one, especially for younger people that are exploring relationships, and the kind of things that they might want to look out for, the early signs, because we're hearing, there's a lot of violence going on towards
See, this is
women. I don't know, it's been playing on my mind, like, yeah, what's going on here? There's really a huge breakdown, I guess, in communication or what's happening, and the resort into this kind of extreme, like the one with that Stacy guy, the NFL
oh my
guy.
God. But this guy was wild too. This guy was bugging. But no, that Stacy thing was wild, man.
Yeah.
That was hard to see. I've never seen football players been acting crazy. That's the craziest thing I've seen. I don't know if I've seen something harder, but I remember a couple of years ago, right? Ray Rice or something. He did something. Rice was his name or something like that, right? His name was Rice. And he did something with the woman in the elevator, and they made a big thing. And he did not do as much as Zach Stacy did, and they was trying to get him up out of here. So I can only imagine what they're trying to do with Zach Stacy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna drop the link. Shout out to My Aunt Speaks. Look forward to My Aunt Speaks coming and doing some great things. Let me see, because my chat's moving slow. Shot in the building with us, everybody in here. Or the sniper. Yeah, I'm gonna drop my link though. But this is a serious topic, so Verse, I'm just trying to deal with seriousness right now. So I would like if you just stay where you at, Verse. I love you and I appreciate you. But this right here is serious business, and I'm not playing games with serious things. And this is what we do. We're talking about real serious topics right here. So I need people that's gonna come up with serious dialogues, and we're really gonna build on those types of things. The old one community is out of here. This is the new one community, and we handling our lives, our community, and our serious. Yeah, we're taking everything very serious. Oh, you did? You put in the community water? Man, that thing was crazy, man. That was sad to see. That thing was sad to see, man. And then some people like, oh, she was white. I don't give a hell who that person was. The hell? Why is he doing this? This man is like 400 pounds. What is he doing? I don't care. That's crazy, son. That's craziness, man. What's crazy is that a lot of people get away with that activity for a very, very long time. And then when they get caught, it's just the time that they got caught. Imagine how much things that they got away with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Funny thing is, she even, I don't know. It seemed like that's something she's probably experienced multiple times. And it was weird to people questioning, like, oh, that's weird how she has these cameras set up in her home, etc. It's like, well, maybe she did that for a reason. Because she knows that he has the tendencies to be violent like this, and she wants to protect her and that tiny baby that was in the same room.
He could have threw something and hit the baby. The baby was sitting down on the couch. Mm-hmm. You in here grabbing her. She could have tried to pull away. Imagine she tried to pull away when he grabbed her and she could have hit the baby. Like, there's mad stuff that can happen in these situations. And that's what people got to see. And that's what people got to see, man. It's just a shame, man, to me.
And the fact that he could have easily killed her right in front of her baby.
Right in front of the baby, man. Shout out to Mother with the wisdom. Mother, say something. Let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, beloveds. Thank you so much for this topic. It's so necessary right now.
Tell me what you think. Necessary. Give me what you got. Tell me what you think. You know, you always come with the wisdom, Mother. Let me know.
Give me a minute to kind of just get my thoughts together.
Okay, you can do that. You can do that.
This is such a deep topic, beloved. And this is a root, what you call a root topic, because it goes all the way down back to the beginning. It goes to your core beliefs about your value as a being, as you being enough, as you being lovable, as you being acceptable. And you receive what you believe your value is, because you will keep accepting. If you think that you are broken, then a broken person is what you will attract, and a broken person is what you will put up with, because they will validate your own thoughts about yourself and your own worth.
Mm.
and
Mm.
and that comes from what you have been taught, what you have gone through, what you have experienced, what you have existed in from the womb all the way to whatever age you are at. And if no one has nourished you and told you that you are special and how you should be treated as a human being, as a loving being, and what love is, then you will accept whatever is given to you, because you feel that you can, well, I can love you enough. And if I do this and if I give this, because you never had that, then maybe you can see what love, maybe I can teach you what love is. I've been there as a 16-year-old, my baby's daddy, so to speak, to call him, was
Mhm.
26
Mhm.
was 26 years old. And although we never got into it physically, oh, the verbal and the mental abuse, whoo, was something else. But he had gotten into it with, he was violent with other women. And I knew this from just the community. And my thought was, oh, well, he must love me more than he loved them. This is my little 16-year-old thoughts now, okay? Because he beat them, but he ain't never put his hands on me. And after our relationship was done and my child was about 12 years old, and she had had a drowning accident, and he had came back into her life for a hot second, I asked him, you know, you were violent with those other women. Why were you never violent with me? You know what his answer was?
Mhm.
Because your mama would have killed me.
Wow.
And he was right. He didn't have to
But he
say
was
that.
right. But he
No,
was
no,
right.
no, 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 no. He was right. My mama would have killed him.
That's good, because people need something to think about. A lot of time people only respect what they can't disrespect, not what they respect. Because they'll be disrespecting their own mama, talking about they respect you. And there's no way you could disrespect your mom, you respect me. So a lot of time you see that people need something to think about. That's why sometimes some women that got some brothers and all of that, sometimes the men be like, you know what, let me chill for them brothers get together, called jumping me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it be like that, you know?
And sometimes, beloveds, it's different, because even with I have a son. My son is 30 years old. My daughter is 38 years old.
Okay, bless them
But
both. Bless.
thank you, thank you. But I sat down with both of them, and I told my daughter, if you ever get into a relationship, don't bring your brother into it. Don't bring your brother into your shit, because see,
Wow.
you be loving that man, and my son will be ready to kill him, and you
Mm-hmm.
be ready to jump on my son or be mad at my son, your brother, because you love this man.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to teach them. It's not about, yeah, you be there and you support them. And but my first of all, my daughter, my daughter is Mike Tyson, so I ain't got to worry about that. Okay, I ain't got to worry about that. I ain't got to worry about that. I never had to worry about that. But there are women who do have to worry about that. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, we put so much on our sons and the little brothers, protect your sister and so forth and so on. But you have to remember, there are women out there who will get so emotionally involved and so connected and corded with their relationship with this man that they will turn on their family members who are trying to protect them out of love. And I
Yeah.
guess you could call it the Stockholm syndrome, or whatever you want to call it. But they will.
Yes. Yes, I know that. I've experienced being around stuff like that, you know, trying to get a person, somebody, a family member, even one of my sisters, one of my younger sisters, you know what I'm saying? Like, word. You know, it was a big thing, a big situation. But you know, you can't make nobody do anything. You know, you just hope for the best, but you know, you be out there ready to do anything to make sure that they're good, you know.
And that's what support systems come in. And that's where conversations like this need to go viral, because the more women and men that begin to be healed and learn and expand their own conscious awareness of what a relationship is, the better. And if all we have coming at us is toxic relationships, that's what we're going to attract, because that's what we're study thinking. That's what we're going to manifest. That's what we're going to participate in, because that's all we know. And if all you got on TV coming at you is love and hip hop and housewife, this, that, and the other, from this, that, and the other, and all this Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, and lottie dottie stuff, then that's what's wrong with this generation right now. These young babies right now, the youngest ones that were brought up in the Jerry Springer, that's what they think relationships is. That's they never knew about the Ruby D and all the way back, and what real romance and is, hugging and slow grinding and this and that. They all they know about is twerking, and bounce that booty. And a woman is a bitch in a hoe, and you need 6 or 5 or 7 or more. you know, it's
Yeah.
it's it's what you put into them is what you're going to get out of them. And so we have to start letting them know what is toxic and what is not toxic. And if you've got something toxic within you, where you can receive something toxic and that's acceptable to you, then you need healing before you can heal somebody else. And that's real. That's what I've been going through
I agree.
for a good long time. Being celibate, understanding that, no, I can't get into nothing right. No. And, it's just taking care of yourself, loving yourself enough to put
Yourself.
you first. Yes, that's self-discipline.
Yeah.
No, I agree completely. Like exactly what you were saying. I think especially for the younger generation that look to music, look to these reality TV shows, look to social media. It's acceptable these days to be called the B word and being demeaned. The language that we probably didn't accept when we were coming up is normalized now. Certain abuses, men being violent to women is we see it more and more often because of social media. And people still make excuses because they say, well, she probably had some lip on her, or she was given attitude, or what have you. It's almost like they always want to find a reason why a woman should be mistreated. And I see it a lot in a lot of different conversations, and media does play a large part in it. And I think it's made a lot of men look at women differently. As she was saying, just the image of women these days, as nothing more than sexual objects for twerking, using, pumping and dumping. You hear that kind of language all the time. They don't see the value in women anymore, like the romance, the courting, all that side. It seems to have just dissipated over the years. So yeah, it's totally true. Media plays a huge role in it.
Yeah, I think the media pushes that in a lot of different ways. But what's crazy is, as chaotic, like a lot of us, we come from loving situations though. As much as people want to, even if we come from impoverished neighborhoods, or maybe it wasn't like that, and we didn't have all the food or all of that, but we still be coming from love though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it be love around us. For some people, maybe not as much.
Yeah, a lot of us do come from dysfunctional homes as well, where the example of a relationship wasn't there, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe they grow up with in a two-parent home. We didn't see how a man
It's
and a
supposed to
woman
go.
should be together and how they can cooperate and work together, you know. A lot of people are missing that part. So when they go into a relationship for the first time, they might be a bit, confused at how it all works, because there's not workshops out there where, you know, young people can learn how to, you know, have a healthy relationship, you know. And if they're all they're being exposed to is, you know, fighting and cheating and calling each other derogatory names and things like this is not a good start to any kind of healthy relationship at all.
And you know, the key thing that you said there, beloved, was dysfunction. And we need to educate the children and educate everyone that dysfunction is toxicity. That's what dysfunction is. That is what toxic is. Because some people have in their minds, they paint their own images and their own pictures of what toxic means, but they have a whole other understanding of what dysfunction is. And most people can relate to dysfunction more than they can relate to the word toxic, which just says, you know, a lot about us, that we'll find dysfunction more acceptable than something toxic. We'll put up with dysfunction because that's normal and it's regular to us, and that's supposed to be expected. And so we really, you know, we really got to point out that it's dysfunctional to yell and scream at somebody. That's dysfunctional behavior. That's emotional behavior. That's irrational behavior, because you should be able to speak calmly to anybody, regardless of the situation. But when you allow your emotions to jump in there, then you adding fire to it, and that's where the dysfunction comes in. Because the dysfunction means that your control has dysfunctioned. Your control of the situation is malfunctioning. You're losing control of the situation. And the more you lose control of that situation, the more toxic that situation is going to get. It can even become deadly. Why? Because you allowed dysfunction into it. And so dysfunction, there are layers and levels to it. And that's all within the being. That's all within your own thoughts and your own feelings and what you're being led by.
In a way, like dysfunction has become normalized. Yeah, it's become normalized. You know, if you get into it with your partner, I don't know, you turn to social media and you start ranting and raving and calling them names and putting your business out there, which instead of communicating, people don't seem to be able to keep things private and try and sort their problems out between themselves. You know, a lot of times I've run and tell everyone, you know, what's gone wrong instead of worrying about how to get it right and fix the problem, you know. Then they magnify it and then it becomes huger than what it is. And yeah, it's so true. But yeah, are you gonna is Beth in the back? I don't know. Beth, I think he's trying to get on.
This is the guy Freeze. If you're now coming in, this is Freeze and a video. You know, it's triggering. This video is really triggering, so I just have it here so that you see it. But I did post this video on my channel on One Community, and you can see the video in full. But you know, we're just using this besides a couple of other things, just, you know, Zach Stacy, couple of situations that's out there to kind of ask women, like, you know, why is it that women feel this inherent need to fix, you know, broken men, or feel like they can be like, even though this person or this man, and it could be vice versa for men towards women as well, you know, but in these situations, these are women, and the people that's the perpetrators are the men. But, you know, just asking, why do women feel that need or that feeling like, you know, it's me and I could be the person that can, you know what I mean, change the person or fix the person, especially maybe an emotionally broken person, you know? And as women,
Mm.
you know, that's my question really to you.
My aunt speaks has a good point in the chat room.
I would love my
She
aunt
says
to
we have
come up, my aunt. Please, sister, I need you up here, sister. Your voice is too powerful for you to use your fingers in those chats. My aunt, I need you to step up, queen. Come up, my aunt. You know, I would like to hear your thoughts and stuff. Yeah, let's hear what you got to say.
yeah. I don't know if she's going to choose to or not, but I really wanted to comment on what she said. She said we
Yeah.
have to keep in mind that those energetic ties can keep us captive to someone, even if intellectually we understand that they are not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so true, because spiritually what you do is you receive that energy, or that spiritual energy, that frequency, you accept it. And once you accept it, it becomes a part of your programming. It becomes part of your conscious awareness. And you now are, this person can now make you walk on eggshells. This person now can be in your thoughts so much that you can't get them out. This person can trigger every single thing within you, and it can even trigger things that are genetically predisposed from the womb, from you. It can trigger ancestral things, things that you yourself have not even been through in this lifetime, but that you carry with you, because we are so deep that our body holds memories from previous generations, and abuse is part of our norm. And
Yeah.
there, that is too why your question, why do we want to fix somebody, and especially Black women? Well, I'm going to say all women, because all women, no matter what station, class, whatever, are
Yes.
abused by
Yeah.
all stations of men. So I
Yeah.
don't
That's
want
why
to
we can't
make it
limit it.
about,
Yeah. That's why we can't
yeah,
limit it. You're right. Yeah.
right. I don't want to limit it, but I
Yeah.
do want to speak on this aspect within the colors, within the
Spectrum.
spectrum of color.
I knew you was gonna say the
Right,
spectrum.
within the spectrum of color.
I got.
Yes, within the spectrum of color, we as women, as women of color, feel that the men of color need us to be strong. And so we will go out of our minds being strong for them. We will break our backs being strong for them, because we love them, because they have been our fathers, they have been our husbands and our lovers. We give birth to Black men. So we have a special bond with that Black male, with that male of color, and we will take so much from them because we know what they put up with in the world, and we don't want to be adding to their burden. But at the same time, they don't understand what we've been through, and there's such a disconnect in, like the beloved said, with communication. And so this communication has to begin to happen in order for us to build real conscious collectives. It really has to begin. So I thank you once again for this show.
No, but appreciation. You know,
Yeah,
I think
you too.
it's so many conversations. You know, just like how I put up this picture here. It's like I feel like real men don't bang on women. You know, I don't really feel like they want to bang with women. You know, it kind of make you feel kind of uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like. It's been a lot of viral activity of men that's, you know, notoriety, and they're doing these things. You know, they banging on women, they doing all these types of stuff. You know, is I hear the cries out, I see it, you know, but is the cry loud enough?
I think it's become a sport almost for men and women to go at each other. It's almost like a competition these days, who can outdo the other, you know, and I think that feeds into the just the I don't know if it's a battle for power or dominance, or if one or the other feel as if the other has lost respect for them, or they don't have their place, or they're not valued as much anymore, you know. And it causes, like, you only have to go on YouTube and hear some of these discussions surrounding the issues between just relationships in general, and all the dysfunction that is apparent. You know, sometimes the men and women can't even have conversations without it turning into a huge fight. Yeah, you know, slanging insults at each other, and there's just the breakdown of communication. I think is the main culprit behind why relationships become like this, become toxic, become about control and dominating the other, almost belittling in order to make themselves feel they have purpose.
Or something.
Yeah, I think.
You know, it's powerful. The language that we use around relationships is very powerful. Being old school, being an elder, you know, we would say back in the day that we preferred a man who had game. You know what I'm saying? If you had game, then you were attractive. You were cool. You were down. We wanted to be with you because you know you had it going on. And so that term game got pushed into pimping. Okay, if it got pushed into pimping, language is very powerful. And from pimping, game became a whole different animal. It became toxic. It became dysfunctional because now you were keeping score. Now it was about competition. And game nowadays is really, like the sister said, it's a sports. It's a competitive sports. It's about put me in, coach. It's a ball. We finna pass this ball. We balling. You know, it's all about ball gaming. It's pimping ball gaming. Okay, it's who can get out there and shine. Who got the best this on? Who got the best that on? Who got the best game?
Yeah.
Everybody want to be Michael Jordan when it comes to the game. Put me in when it's coming. You know, and every girl wants to. Oh, come on, what you got to say? Oh, I'm finna play ball with you. I can play just as good as you can. You know, and I can say that because I was there. I used to be there, you know, on the intellect. Oh, what you got? What you got, Shorty? Come on. What? You know, and it was about a man had to, he felt some kind of way because my energy was like bam, and he knew he had to come at me a certain way. And if he wasn't coming that way, he wasn't gonna get no play. So you see what I mean with the word game? The word game from way back in the 60s and 70s to the 80s and 90s and now to 2021, it is turned into a beast. And it is a vicious beast. And the outcome before was romance. Your game was to get romantic with somebody. Now your game is to get over on somebody.
Do you think it's our fault as women? And I've heard men say this about our desire more for like the bad boy type, the player type, you know, the treating me
That's
keen
that's
kind of type. Yeah.
yeah, sister, that's what's been pushed. That's
Mm.
what you see in all your romantic literature. That's what you see in the Bible. That's what you see on the movies. That's what you
Mm.
see in the music. You know, it's just recently, I would say in the 80s, when that movie, The Revenge of the Nerds, came out, that women actually started to look at the nerdy guy or the quiet guy or the shy guy differently.
Mm.
Because before that, it was all about the bad boy. And just like the bad boys, they want bad girls. And so there is a spectrum, so to speak. And that spectrum with universal laws has a certain magnetism and laws of attraction that go on. And that within itself is how you play the game. What you're putting out there is what you're going to attract.
Mhm.
And sometimes opposites attract.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
unless you know what to do with all of that energy, it's going to bite you.
Mm. Yeah, because I've heard like maybe the quieter types, the nerdier types, you know, uh they feel slighted by a lot of women because they feel like they're the last option, you know. They'll go through the bad boys, they'll have the toxic relationships, they'll have children with these men or um have a certain amount of years with them until they realize that it's not right for them, and then they become like the option, you know, once they've run the gauntlet of dealing with a lot of uh these bad boy types, whatever you want to call them, street boy types, F boys, whatever, you know. And it's like
Yeah, F boys,
mhm,
pretty boys. You
yeah.
know, there's all these different categories. There's all these different spectrums, and what you're drawn to says a lot about who you are.
As
But
a
when you
person.
get to yes, it
Yeah.
tells about what you need, where you're dysfunctional at within you, speaks a lot of what you're attracted to in another being,
Mm.
what you
Mhm,
want to explore more, and what you want them to bring out of you more, because you're choosing a mirror to look into, you
Yes.
know?
mm,
And it gets very, very deep. And we're so surface, we're so fake and phony, we're so much on just the appearance of something that we don't look deeper. And that's where the narcissist will get a hold of you and turn your behind completely out because you're so caught up in the superficial.
yeah, yeah. How about those women? Do you think it's true for some women who might choose a man who they think's maybe not the best option? They might show signs early on of, you know, a lack to, you know, of commitment, or show signs that they might be unfaithful or have been unfaithful in the past. And women like that who maybe stick with a man in the hopes that he's gonna change. Do you think it comes from women just naturally being more nurturing, or maybe looking at the best, you know, in somebody?
I
Or do you
think
think
it
that's
comes
a huge mistake? Yeah.
I think it comes down to a woman being swayed by game. Okay.
Mm,
If a woman is easily swayed or persuaded by a man can go and cheat on her and he can come back and say, "Baby, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Blah, 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 blah. She didn't mean nothing to me. You mean everything to me." Or I'm a man and I was just being a man. I was drunk or la, 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 la.
mm,
And, you know, all of this. And it really depends, like I said, on how much she values herself. Because at a certain point, you got to say, "No, I'm worth more than that. And you really must not appreciate me if you keep putting me in this position, then that means I'm not high on your priority list of trying to keep me."
Right.
So, I'm not, what am I worth to you? This is my value to you. If you know you can talk your way out of anything and I'm going to just let you go and I'll be pissed off and walk around, be mad at you, and you might be eating, bologna sandwiches and not having no hot meal for a while, if you know you can clown, you going to clown.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah. I think women could be too forgiving and overlook a lot of things, especially for the reasons that you gave. They fall for the lies and the sob story, and I have trust issues. You're the one for me. All that kind of crap.
But guys fall
we
for the
often,
same things, though. But men fall for the same things, though. It's the same things. Men fall for the same things. But we have Ma'at speaks too, right? Ma'at, can you say something just to make sure we got you up here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We hear
Hi,
you
Maya.
perfectly, Ma'at. Peace and
Peace.
blessings. Peace and blessings. Let us hear what you have to say. Come on, tell us something. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that everyone's saying. I think a lot of times too, we have that kind of struggle of thing going on in our community where if it doesn't hurt, if it doesn't feel like we're trying, then we don't think it's real love. So we kind of want a little pain with it. We want some fighting happening in order for us to feel like it's a real relationship. And that's something we've learned like over the years. We've normalized toxicity, but we've also normalized that kind of struggle. Like we have to struggle in order for it to feel like something's happening.
Yeah. I think that's the definition, probably one of the definitions of being in a toxic relationship. Is if it doesn't bring you some kind of anguish, it doesn't feel
Right.
like it's real. And it's crazy that it is a dysfunction, and just wondering where that came from. Kind of like we touched on it earlier. Is it maybe something that we learn early on as children?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something we learn from as children. Had a conversation about this the other day, actually, just that whole concept of that when we're being chastised as children, but then, on the other end of it, our parents tell us, we're doing this because we love you. And so I think we have to also be careful the way we chastise our children because they're not going to understand when they get older. Like if this person is, this man's hitting on me, like is actually love. So, when we hit or we spank and do things like that, we don't do it from a place of, we usually do it from a place of frustration or anger. And so then as a child, your brain is still forming. And then your mom or your dad says, hey, I love you. I did this because I love you. I don't know how many of you heard that, but I heard that a lot growing up. I'm doing this because I love you. So, we learn that behavior. And so we bring that into our relationships as we get older.
It's so true. Yeah, I
Yes.
think we've sorry, Doug.
I agree 100%. And not only that, but growing up as girls, we're taught that if a boy pulls our hair or if he did this to us or if he did that, then he must like us. He
Yep.
must like us. So that's planting the seeds, that, oh, okay, this kind of behavior comes with being liked, and just like you
Right.
said, we get it from our parents too. I grew up with that. This is gonna hurt me worse than this is gonna hurt you. Excuse
Right.
me. But okay. But we have to look at what has been planted in our conscious awareness, and what is it's like our gardens. What has been seeded there? What has been nourished there? What weeds have grown up? Do we pull the weeds out or do we just let them stay? You know, we've really got to look and tend our gardens. And if we can do this as a community, it's even better. It's even better. And I'm going to say I'm thankful for this show, and I'm thankful for the energy, because this kind of energy, whether you know it or not, it sets out frequencies of healing simply by putting it out in the air, and airing your heart and airing, the truth. It changes things. We might think it doesn't, but it does.
Mhm.
I definitely agree with that. These conversations are needed in our community. I think because we have normalized toxicity so much, it is a survival mechanism. So
Mm.
we use toxicity to survive. And some of those things, I think, in whatever generation we're coming out of, we kind of use it as a survival technique. So
Mm.
even the way that we talk to our children or treated, or our children have been treated, and we passed it on because we had to survive a certain way at certain times, and then it just gets passed on to the next generation, to the next generation. So we have to learn how to heal from that, so that the
Mm.
next, like the generations that are coming after us, are not using those same toxic techniques and thinking that that's how they need to, you can't thrive in toxicity. It's only going to like tear you down at some point, which we have seen in our communities.
Yeah.
That's so powerful, and I want to build on that, because that is so powerful. We hear the words dog eat dog. We hear, if you're of color, you're growing up in a concrete jungle.
Hmm.
We're told that we've got to be beasts, or we're going to be victimized and eaten. You know, we,
Mm,
and so you've got one or the other. Those are your only two choices, and so you better pick one, which you gonna be. There was I was when I grew up. My mother told me, if when it came to fighting, if you don't beat their ass, I'm gonna beat your ass.
mhm,
So, it becomes to that point where if this is what's planted in you, then this is what it is. And like you said, the word survival goes deep. It
right.
goes deep. It goes hormonal. It goes cellular, fight or flight. That becomes in that survival instinct is in you. So you walking down the street and you're in survival mode. You going into a restaurant, you're in survival mode. You meeting with this man you into, you're in survival mode. Can I trust you? Are you gonna hurt me? What?
Mhm,
You know? So there is dysfunction even in the way we relate to other beings, simply because we have been stoked and raised and bred in a society that teaches us these things and reinforces it with everything that we see. That violence is the world, the underground violence, not just regular violence, but the underground violence. And that underground violence is what we're seeing rising in this now moment. And this underground violence, that's that hell violence. That's really, and I use hell as not a place but a state of mind. It's a frequency. It's a heightened frequency of violence, and it's rising up because it's getting more and more desperate, because people are becoming more and more consciously aware, because we are having these kind of conversations.
right.
And the conscious awareness of human beings is expanding, as it is meant to do, especially in this Aquarian age. So the more we keep having these kind of conversations, the more crazier stuff we're going to see come up. But we have to keep having these conversations, knowing that this is the kind of healing that is going to cure the toxic behaviors.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Hey, sorry guys, I was talking. I didn't realize I was on mute. Sorry. I was like, yeah. That's like, what do we do? Like going forward though, like if it's almost feels like we've reached the point of no return. Like it just seems to be getting worse and worse, the stories that we're hearing, the violence against women, the verbal abuse that we hear daily being thrown at, men and women, not just anyone to talk about perspective. It's like sometimes it almost feels like hopeless, especially with the new generation really running with that and have normalized a lot of these behaviors. It almost seems how we can reverse this and get back into some kind of healthier perspective and view. Is it going to have to come to a complete you know explosion disaster before we can turn it back? Like where's the
Well, yeah, I
mm,
have two kind of thoughts about that. So the first thought is, I mean, chaos, I talk about this a lot on my channel. Just like chaos exists in order to bring about that structure, bring about that organization.
mm,
Um, and so what we're seeing here, we're in this new age and we're seeing that, we're getting to that place, and just like she was talking about that consciousness being aware. So it is great that we're having these conversations and that we are we're aware that we are at a point where we need to do something different and have these conversations. But
mm,
at the same time, we have to take it one step at a time. Um, I think we have to understand and be comfortable in knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable for a moment. And that there are some things that we may not see in our lifetime, but
mm,
are we willing to do the work so that the next generation is not necessarily going through the same things that we're going through? So we have to take it first with ourselves. We have to inwardly do the healing. And then, if we have children, or whether we have children, nieces, nephews, whomever we have in our lives, we have to make sure that our homes and our families that we're already in, that we can do the healing within those in our family, and then we extend it out to our communities. Because just like I can't remember who said it earlier, but we can't try to heal other people if we haven't first taken that time to heal ourselves.
mm,
And so we do have to look inwardly first. And then it's kind of like after you do that inward, you do that work on yourself, then you can kind of go and heal others in the community, and starting with ourselves, starting with our families, and understanding that that chaos is it's there, it's happening, but it's there to bring that structure that we need um, to move forward.
mm. Another reason why I think I feel like it's kind of hopeless because I actually hear a lot of I'm in my 40s and I hear people around my age and older as well, who almost promote um the idea that, the family structure or, hoping to have any kind of healthy relationship nowadays is a lost cause. They've
Mhm.
perhaps been through, bad relationships, maybe divorce,
Mhm.
or baby mamas and stuff, and they seem to be passing this on to that sourness onto like their children or their nieces and nephews, telling them, don't get married, don't have children, treat these women or treat the men like, purely for sex and that's it. Don't ever commit, you know. And they create this environment where people just don't look at relationships for the long haul, it seems, anymore. you know.
I want to step in, and I want to, how can I say this? I want to question more your hopelessness, because when you say hopeless, I want you to understand how powerful that word is, and how feeling that puts that frequency out, and it enforces that frequency. And I want you to look at, I want all of us to look at consciously, where does our hopelessness reside in? Is it in the flesh or is it in the spirit? Because we are spiritual beings, and there's nothing that the spirit cannot achieve. It's unlimited. But when you look at the flesh is very limited. And when you have conscious awareness of yourself as nothing but flesh, then you have limited yourself. You have grounded yourself. You have put yourself in a box. And yes, it is hopeful and doubtful if you will survive, because then survival becomes an issue. But if you understand yourself to be spiritual, just like the other sister said, even if it is not in this lifetime, I know going forward it's going to change. And that is when you deal with that spiritual realm. So I really believe, I'm not into religion, but I am very much into spirituality, because it is spirituality that gives you the strength, that gives you superhuman strength, that gives you paranormal, or whatever you supernatural. There we go. Thank you. Supernatural abilities to work miracles comes from the spiritual realm. That is the unseen realm. And many of us are not in tune with that portion, that part of ourselves. And we feel it's more comfortable to get in the box. I was talking with my niece earlier today, and she was going through something. And she said, "You know what, Auntie? It's easier for me. I'd rather sit in the pain for a minute, because I'm used to that and I know how to deal with that, and I know how to find my way out of it. But that pain, that's the box I need to be in. I need to dive deep into it, because she's a creative person, so she knows that by going in there and feeling all of that shit, everything that's in there, every little ingredient, no matter how old it is, picking it up and looking at it and going through it and then putting it back down again, coming back up, she knows how to rearrange and work things from and create from her pain, and not let her pain drown her or kill her. And so many of us don't understand that that's what, just like the sister was saying about chaos, that when you have a true spiritual understanding, that abyss that light arose out of was the chaos. And you have to have the chaos. That is the frequency that everything starts with. When a woman is giving birth, it's messy, it's painful. You're not going to have no ease, no just whoop, there go the baby. Okay, that don't work like that. Your body has to go through contractions. It has to go through something. So life itself has to go through something to get to the other side. And everything has an entryway and an exit way. So you're going to have to go through to get to the other side. And that's really, truly what we need to understand. The other thing I wanted to bring up in this topic is the understanding and awareness of the divine feminine principle that is coming back up into our conscious awareness. And so this topic is so on point, because the divine feminine is now looking at herself collectively and saying, hold on, wait a minute, I'm worth so much more than this. And this patriarchal energy is threatened by that. And that's why you have so much acting out too, because he wants to beat her and push her back down up under the ground. And she's like, no, I've been a seed long enough. I'm coming up out. I want some sun now. And you're not going to stop me from getting into the sun. You're not going to stop me from shining, you know?
That is true. But I know exactly what you're saying, and I am very, optimistic. I am in terms of, there's a lot of people out there who have beautiful, functioning, respectful and caring, loving, everything like that relationships. But maybe I'm spending too much time on YouTube because all I seem to hear is the constant trying to they really try and stifle, I think, a lot of women's voices, especially when we come to the table with trying to find resolutions for things. And it seems like we've become disenfranchised. Now it's just about who's right and who's wrong instead of just healing and making things better. Because I understand what you're saying, like it's a bit confusing because if we have to go through a painful journey to get to a point of having a healthy relationship, aren't we already being toxic and maybe taking things do you know what I mean? Like taking things through that journey, we're learning how to deal with maybe disappointment or letting us down or people being unfaithful to us, etc., etc. And we go through that, I think, as all of us have been there in some way or another. But can we always expect those people who go through that to not carry those feelings, that energy into the next phase, How do
I hear,
we
I hear
kind of
what you're saying. I hear
you get what
exactly what you're saying. And our expectations come from how we have been conditioned and programmed. And we've been conditioned and programmed happily ever after. And this is how everything is supposed to be rosy, and everything is supposed to be light, and everything is supposed to be sweet. And if it's not, then it's dysfunctional. That's that's so that's unbalanced. We
mm,
need a balanced view with just like nature gives it to us with growth. Growth,
mm,
even as a seed, you have that seed has to tear itself apart to have roots come down into the ground. And then it's got to fight to get up through the ground.
mm,
And it's the same with us, just like with babies. That baby, before it learns to walk, it's going to fall on its butt many times. It's going
mm,
to get mad. It's going to get frustrated. It's going to get hurt.
mm,
But if it's going to walk, it's got to go through those growing pains. And this is what we need to, the ancients knew this by the phases and the stages of everything, the stages, the cycles, the seasons. And we've got to learn that there's a spectrum of light and dark. Everything is not going to always be on one side. The best way to do is to be balanced, because if you're either going to go into extremes or you're going to be balanced.
mm,
And the best way to be is to be balanced. But that takes a lot of discipline. And that discipline comes from you knowing yourself and be consciously aware where you are on the spectrum. Are you too far left? Are you too far right? Are you being too hard, or are you being too easy, or are you right in the middle? And that goes into really understanding ourselves. And so it's not so much a matter of if this is going to happen, it's when it's going to happen, and knowing it's going to happen. This is this is part of it. And you have to be able to take all of it. You know, you have to be able to deal with the good and the bad. You have to be strong enough to know that, you know, yes, this may be killing you and you may be suffering from it right now, but it's
Mm,
through that suffering that you're going to grow. You've got to come through the other side of it, and nobody can get you out of it but you. I can meet you on the other side of it, but I can't bring you out of it.
mm. Yeah, and I think as females, I think we're a lot more willing to do that. Maybe we're more willing to maybe look inwards and see where we can grow emotionally into our relationships and learn from them. I don't know whether men are more as willing as we are to kind of be introspective and like look at where they went wrong. Um, Oftentimes I hear them placing the blame on females for why things didn't go right, or they love to throw that statistics. It's usually the women that are filing for divorce and leaving relationships, etc. And you know they're left out in the cold. Um, and they just, yeah, it seems like they love blaming the women for all their woes and why a relationship went bad or went sour. So I
Well,
hope
I
they're
think, oh,
as, yeah,
go ahead.
willing as we are.
I think we have to understand, because this is where we are right now. We're in a situation where we've both been hurt on both sides. So when we look at women, we're more emotionally, um, we, I guess we have more in a sense of that emotional intelligence, but then men, they operate more through their logic. So a lot of times that can put up it can it can be a battle
Mm,
between the two of us, because we're thinking from our emotions, where we're wanting you to kind of understand us, and then
mm,
men are operating from that logical side, more of that analytical side, more of that. That's why they bring up statistics a lot. If you have
mm,
ever been in a conversation or disagreement with a man, they like to bring up statistics or facts, or they like to bring up studies, and we're more of that, telling you how we feel and that
right.
emotional side. So I think it's, like she said, we have to learn how to balance the two, because even I have to sometimes say, okay, how do I balance logic within my emotions? And then, if you have a partner, then you have to say, how are you going to balance your logic with your emotions, in order so that we can come together and understand, because we're in that place where we all still have that toxicity within us.
Mm,
um and it comes out at different times. It can come out through an argument. It can come out, when you're just, you're angry, you're frustrated, something's going on in your business or at work. So it comes out at different times. The first thing is to identify that toxicity within yourself, and saying, why am I reacting this way? And what is it? What is that kind of like that trigger or whatever that's happening, that's making me react? Because sometimes we're reacting out of the past instead of the present moment.
mm,
And so usually when a woman leaves, it's not because something had happened in that moment. It usually is like, oh, I've been thinking about these things, and they're kind of building up. And then we say, okay, enough is enough, and then we leave. And so I think that we have to understand how to balance. And then we as women, a lot of us have been operating in that masculinity a lot. And especially if
mm,
we've had to be by ourselves, and we even operating in a YouTube space can sometimes make you operate in your masculine energy, because it's a kind of a male dominated space. And so we have to figure out that balance of that feminine energy and that masculine energy. And then when it's time for us to be more feminine, and when it's time to operate within that. Because I think a lot of times we see in other cultures or other races of women, a lot of times they'll say, well, they're being more feminine. And then we have to understand that sometimes um, we don't have that place where we can just be feminine all the time because of the spaces that we have to operate and how we are perceived and how we are looked at. And so I think that's one thing that men and women, especially Black men and Black women, have to look at one another and understand who we are as a people and why we are here. You know, when you think even how we got here, as far as going back to plantation, or even before that, you know, even before we even got to the plantation, that we still had instances where we had to work within our masculine energy. And then that is something that we have carried on. And so it's kind of unfair to say that Black women be more feminine, you know, like why are you being so masculine? And so just like when you are when you're a single mother and you're going to these school, and then this school system, you have to bring your masculine energy. Even if you do have a spouse and you're going up there by yourself, you have to bring that masculine energy with you. When you go to work, you have to bring that masculine energy. So I think we have to understand that we have to learn each other first, like learn why we are where we are and how do we work together through those concepts, so that we can balance one another and say that we're not just pointing fingers. Because I think as long as we're pointing fingers, we're not looking at our own issues and our own things that we're going through. And then once we learn how to stop doing that and we look within, it's a change that happens. Because I know when you're healing, there are things that happen that you no longer get agitated or frustrated by that you used to. So, you know, I think that's very important to understand that as we heal, we're going to grow and we're going to elevate. So those things that were kind of seen as annoyances or frustrations, or even the people that you attract to you are no longer going to, or things that you were attracted to, you're no longer going to be attracted to that because you have healed from that, and it's not even an issue anymore.
I love that, sis. And I just want to say that, you know, that's so on point, because so many things that used to trigger us, so many things that we used to think, again, in the cycles and seasons, you know, that growth allows us to move forward and go through and get to the other side of something. And sometimes that something is the knowledge of ourselves, what we can, what we cannot, what we will, what we won't, you know. And you made a very interesting point, and I put it in the chat room, about how deeply we need to learn and be consciously aware of each other, of our own sexuality. And I really believe that that is why we're seeing such an increase in everybody questioning or coming up with labels of who they are or who they choose to be identified as far as their sex or gender preference. And all of that is the divine feminine and the divine masculine once again coming to the surface. And that's about the divine feminine is all intuition and instinct. And that divine masculine at its highest is all logic and philosophy. And when you realize all of that is about the education. And the education is a person knowing themselves. So, in knowing yourself, you're going to go through these cycles and seasons and phases of questioning your own sexuality. And we spoke earlier about the toxicity, and we spoke about the abuse. And I want to look into us to look into how much we've been influenced because, like we said, so many of us have been love. Pain is a part of love. So you have to accept that pain and use the pain to get you to the next level. And some people actually make that a lifestyle in what is it called? The BDSM
Mm.
community and all of that. And all of that came up through our music system just recently. Well, not recently, but I'd say in the last decade or so, with Janet Jackson and just a lot more artists and everything. You see all the influence in the type of clothing, in the type of props, in the type of situations and what it's speaking of. And as you see, or what I've observed from this is it's bringing out a lot more of the animalistic root tendencies rather than the higher tendencies of romance and talking, and it's a whole different way of communicating, and everything is about what you're educating yourself on and knowing yourself and what you'll put up with and what you won't put up with and what you'll experiment with and what you won't experiment with and how far you're willing to let another put you in a role or you become their version of you that they want you to be. And that's a very toxic thing. But so many of us are so conditioned that we'll let another being program us. Oh, that looks better on you than that. This looks, you should do this and you should do that. And let me buy you this and put this in you. And, you become their image. And that's because you don't know who you are. Because if you knew who you were, you would say, you know what? I'm good. I can
Mm.
try this, but this is who I am. Authentically, this is me. I don't have to be fake or phony, to please nobody. I'm good. And if I need to be somebody else or look like somebody else or do what somebody else do, maybe you need to go on and be with them.
Mm.
And we need to learn how to say this. And this is loving ourselves. We need to teach our young ones, boys and girls, love yourself, that you don't have to look like the latest trend. You don't have to run and be clones of this, that, and the other. You don't have to talk like that. You don't have to dress like that. You don't have to act like that. And if you do, who are you? Who are you?
Mm. No, it's true. I think it's funny you said that. You kind of touched on kind of the sex aspect. I won't go too far into that, but kind of like we were talking about that when it came to like when men are abusive to women, and we kind of ventured into whether it's the extremes that some people go to get sexual gratification and things like this. But I wonder actually if like you're saying, like the romance, you don't hear about people, making love anymore. It's all about um sex. I don't know if it's the porn industry or people being so desensitized to sex and seeing sex that what they expect within a healthy relationship, I keep using that word, but healthy relationship is not necessarily realistic. I think a lot of young people in particular are exposed to what they have been made to believe is um, to be expected, you know. from their partner. And when they don't receive that, then that could maybe lead to other problems. I've heard some people kind of touching on that, it's not about, oh, let me be lovey-dovey and make love to my woman. No, it's like, what can I get this woman to do or this man to do for me that I've seen, on these websites. And I think that can put an element of another layer of dysfunction in some relationships as well. I just wanted to just touch on that really quickly because, people are
Yeah, I think
addicted these days. Sorry, go on. Dan.
yeah, I think also we use it as I know we as women can sometimes use it as manipulation. But I just think that it's one of those things that has been pushed heavy in our communities, especially when you see the trend that has happened with how it has been pushed in the media, how it's being pushed in music. And so we have this hyper kind of sexualized view of ourselves. And even in spirituality, you see it kind of in the spiritual circles where they're kind of pushing like sexuality, but it's really a means of, well, it's more of, in my opinion, it's something that is missing, you're replacing it. It's kind of like when you have like a drug in essence, like you're replacing something, it's something like kind of broken on in inside of you, and so you're replacing it with something else that can be toxic. So sex on on a spiritual level or connected, when you're connected to a person that loves you and loves you back, it can raise your consciousness. But when you are experiencing those sexual relations with someone who is not for you, who is toxic, it's just going to increase that toxicity within your relationship. And so it's sex now has kind of become a normal thing where it is resulting in toxicity in our communities as opposed to it creating that balance, creating that ascension, creating that higher consciousness. So I definitely think that is something that needs to be addressed. And we also have to learn how to address it with our own children. And even when we talk about like protecting the womb, and then on the other end, how do we address it with the boys and with our men, and how they picture or how they are looking at women, and even them needing to address and kind of hold women as their wound as sacred. I think it's up to us to hold that as sacred, but it's up to us to teach that sacredness also to our young men.
I agree 100%. And I was taking notes as you were talking, and what came to mind was the word trap. And I realized we have what's called trap music, trap rap, trap. And when you think of, just as an exercise, write down the word trap, put it in a circle or a square, and then write down as many words as you can that that you associate with the word trap. And just right off the bat, catch, because you got to catch something in your trap. Bait, you need something to bait your trap. Cage, a trap is a cage, so you're going to keep something in that trap. A pet, you're going to either get a pet in the trap, or I got predator and prey. And there's so many different, pain is associated with the trap, because whatever you trap is going to suffer, because it's going to want to be free. So you got freedom, you got enslavement, you got so many things with this word trap. And when we put is a relationship a trap? Do you see a relationship as a trap? Is this man, you know how we say this man is trying to trap you or this woman is trying to trap you? Are you stepping into a trap? You know, you really got to, it becomes a vicious cycle if everything about a relationship to you is a trust issue with you, and you're looking at it as a trap. You're going to doubt everything. There's relationship becomes toxic because it's a trap to you. And so that's a one thing to do. And I guess to the other thing to resolve that, what's the opposite of a trap? Freedom. And then put all the words that go with freedom: independence, knowing yourself, self-love, high self-esteem, conscious awareness, being able to do anything you want to do, unlimited, unchecked, you know. And so it's a matter of really looking at things sometimes and mapping it out and getting used to doing that with yourself. And that means being able to sit down and spend some time with yourself, going inward, looking at your instincts and what instinctively and your intuition, what words come to mind when you see trap, what images come to mind, what people do you see that set traps for other people? Do you recognize traps? Do you recognize traps in music? Do you recognize it in movies? Do you recognize it in conversation? Is somebody setting bait for you to jump in there and so they can trap you? It becomes really deep, but you don't lose nothing when you know yourself and you're authentically yourself. There's no trap that can contain you. And it's all about that conscious awareness. And that conscious awareness only grows from you knowing and learning yourself and going through the processes and the pains of existing.
Mm-mm. There's one community keeps dropping off. I want to hear his perspective because it's nice to hear that, like, you guys are just dropping a lot of amazing gems and wisdom. I just hope I want to hear what one community has got to say about this, actually, because if he's still there, is he back? Are you there? Are you still with us? I think he keeps getting booted out for some reason. Are you on
Hello.
mute?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
What? I don't know. I think it's booted me. I said, damn, this is crazy.
No, you're the only one that keeps getting thrown out.
Right? Only me is the funniest thing in the world.
The energy does not want you in there.
Yeah, I just think that it's such of a powerful build. Man. It's such of a powerful build. Salute to all three of you queens for this powerful build. You know, that's why I've been listening to parts. I could have probably said a 1-2 words, but when it's a great energy going on, sometimes you just sit back and you just listening in and learning in the process, man. Listening and learning. But is there a specific question you want to ask me? Huh? Is there something specifically you want to ask about this?
Oh, no. Yeah, we were just kind of, where do we go from here? Like, I think women, we love having these kind of conversations and finding a way to move forward and stuff. And it's just nice to hear the male perspective, because, like, I always think, I think the women are so much more open to just progressing and having these conversations and keeping it, you know.
Yeah. I think that women are more in touch, in tune. I think you know, with multiple parts of themselves. I think girls have from an early age with children as they grow. You know what I mean? As far as if you have boy children and girl children, sometimes it's just something different about women. When it comes to that, I think they connect on a deeper level. Me personally, I think it's, toxicity, the toxic masculinity. A lot of times, I think a lot of time our women, even our women, what I'm saying, a lot of time, like me growing up in my neighborhood and stuff like that, we was like cutting school and doing stuff. But, sometimes the girls was doing stuff too. But a lot of girls that I knew, they all went to school. They all got their little diplomas. They all got their stuff, while the guys were really, out there and doing stuff too. So, I think, I think a lot of things come on to the men, what I'm saying, and how we handling things, on how we're dealing with women, on how we interact with women on a grand scale, not just on just men and women, period, but even like, when we meet women on the streets, like how we deal with them. Like some people, you meet a woman and then you talking to her, and then she might turn you down or something, or she might do something else. Now she a B, now she this, now she that. What I'm saying? Just certain things that's just such normal things. That happen every single day. And they don't, nobody says nothing about them really. You see them happening around you. It's just like, we become desensitized to a point. So
Yeah,
for me,
it's become normalized, and like Mother
sure,
was saying earlier, it's about having that kind of always wanting to protect yourself and not fall into
the trap.
yeah, and not
To the trap.
be
My mother said that too.
yeah
Yeah,
subjected to
yeah.
the abuse. But
We got to connect it in though, man. That's what I think. We got to connect it in. You know what I'm saying? Like a man needs to understand that he can be a strong man. He can be this, he can be assertive and still be intact, in tune with his emotions, different things like that. And that not make him a sucker, and that not make him weak, and he will be a king, and all of these things and the same things. Like there's balances, man. You know what I mean? You got to have too much of one thing. It's never good. So if you just then that's not going to be good. You know what I mean? Period, man. What is you? High blood pressure? What is you? Cholesterol? Which one are you today? You know what I'm saying? So like too much of one thing is not good for anyone. So I think it just comes down to a balance. A lot of time we seek that in religion, we seek that in a lot of things, but sometimes the religious structures are not balancing that thing. It's really putting patriarchals or men above women, and blaming a lot of time women for a lot of ills that men have. So a lot of times in society, that thing is pushed through religion, and it's been pushed for thousands of years through religion. So we think it's something that's happening now, but it's not. So when I equate things to a lot of things, even though I was raised on the scriptures and different things, and I studied multiple scriptures and my ways of life just to learn. When you go into like Kemet, when you go into Ma'at, when you're going into the balance of the femininity, the feminine and the masculine energy, and when you go into how the Egyptians depicted the men and the women, like even going as far as to depict them as being even in size, what I'm saying? Meaning that, what I mean? So it's just and how much they raised and praised the woman, what I mean? You see it in everything that they did, everything that they built, what I mean? Even in that pyramid that you see there, in some way, that is representing a woman too. It may be represent her womb. It might be representing multiple parts of a woman as well. So like, just the understanding of the feminine energy, what I'm saying? The saluting of women, what I'm saying? I think women are coming back into that energy right now. Some of it is getting crazy. Oh yeah, get the money, all that. But just women just coming into their confidence of just getting to their thing. I think some of it is misappropriated. Some of it goes the wrong direction sometimes. But it's an energy of people being stifled. I know that our women have been stifled, for a fact, because the people who built this society on a patriarchy, their own women had to fight for their own rights and stuff like that when they came here with them on the boat. So therefore, I can only imagine what our women are dealing with, because they're dealing with all of that, plus the stress, plus all the other things, and still be there to help lift up men like us too, man, and be lifting us up and tolerating us and dealing with all our stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, like I never met a black woman that ever treated me bad. You know what I'm saying? Like they tolerated and put up with the shit that I dealt with, what I mean, that I did. And what I'm saying? So much so that if they ever did shit, like I had to understand that, what I mean? So much so you're like, so at the end of the day, I'd be wrong in thinking about the things that I did, what I mean, growing up as a young kid and growing up as an immature man, growing up and stuff like that. But I think they put a bad stigma on, especially our women. I speak to all women, but I most definitely, me as a, a melanated man in America, I like to speak to my people too as well, directly. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think we just need more support of the women. I think women are allowed to do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? They could be whatever they want to be. You know what I'm saying? Some people say, no, they're not supposed to be on the battlefield. And no, I don't know, man. You go back into, you know what I mean, Nubia, and you go back into things like that, and you go into Queen Amenorhanes, you know what I mean, Amenis Ketu and things like that. You know what I mean? You see strong women, dominant women, queen mothers, you know what I mean, ran whole country, ran whole town, ran everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not, you know what I mean? So it's just stigmas that's put on us, you know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to lean more back to a matriarchal way of thinking, not just a society, because we never can maybe change the society, but more towards that way of thinking, us upholding the women. Like even as a young kid, when I was growing up and stuff, we used to stop the ball, football. Yo, we playing football. Hold on, son. Let's go help the old elderly lady and help a woman with the bags and the groceries. I was on the block selling drugs, man. I don't see that no more. I was stopping from the block, missing sales, going to help the elderly and help women to with these stuff. Not because I want something for them, just because that's how I was raised and that's how things were. You know what I'm saying? And we're so far from that place. So I think we need more divine masculinity in the sense that we need men or young men or however we go to be able to be spoken to when we see them being out of place with women. You know what I'm saying? When we're looking at women, we're not looking at his women, this women. All of these women are our women. You know what I'm saying? They're our sisters, they're our mothers, they're our aunts. That's his girlfriend, but that's our aunt, that's our mom, that's our sister, that's our cousin, our daughter, our niece. So, you know what I mean? We all connected. So, you know what I mean? We need to stop watching, sitting back and watching things, but it don't always have to be aggressive. If you see a brother getting aggressive and he doing a little too much, you like, bro, I mean, okay, that's looking kind of crazy right now for y'all. You know what I mean? We should be able to tell each other stuff like that without it going through a spilling and now we on the news. You know what I mean? So me personally, my war is never against the women. Women gonna have their views and we're gonna have their points. I've been in relationships when they get the beefing and they bring their girls over. Girl, he ain't shit. I'm not here beefing and arguing them in the living room. I'm not that. That's not the guy I am. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So they gonna have it. They gonna talk about it like shit, have me feel like whatever. Maybe some things I need to get together. I'm either chill my ass in the room or go my ass outside and think about what the hell they said or whatever hell. But I'm not gonna be sitting there arguing with the women. So I think a lot of times we got men trying to go into that conversation with the women and argue back with the women. Like that's for the women. That's they circle. You know what I mean? They supposed to sit there and talk about the shit that we doing and all that. That's their thing. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of these men. It seems like the men want to take over the women's sphere too. It seems like they want to run the manosphere, and it seems like they want to run the women's sphere too. Women do that. You know what I mean? It's just that they're doing it online to me. But I look at the men more and say like, I look at the manosphere. So that's where some of my problems lie.
Hang on, love. Can I copy the link from?
But you want to drop the link? I'll drop it right now.
Yeah, copy one the link in my. Let me see if you can.
I'll drop the link right now. You can drop it too.
I think I can do it.
But if I drop it, it's gonna go to everybody.
That's fine.
It's gonna go to everybody. Yeah, I'm dropping it now.
See if any men are brave enough to come on.
Yeah. I mean, I want men. I'll be wanting more men to come up and speak, man, and speak their minds on topics, man. Salute to all the men that have been coming up and stuff like that. You know, we have a lot of women in our channel. The women are speaking. You know what I mean? The women coming up with different things. They come up with topics. They be hitting me talking about, listen, you need to think about that. They got solutions. You know what I mean? It's things like that, man. And I think we need more men that's coming up, you know what I'm saying, to really talk about stuff, man. This is not a man problem. This is not a woman problem. This is our problem. It's a us problem. It's a thing that we gonna fix. Not men by themselves are gonna fix this. Not women by themselves are gonna fix this. We together as men and women are gonna fix this. And depending on how we doing, man, that's going to show the kids something different, man. So I think we're in that place right now, man. You know, they always say we in the year the Aquarius, we in the year this. Right now, we in the year of the kids. All right. So we need to do something for the kids. Period. I'm saying period. Every year of the kids. Like, period, man. We need to get this thing together for the kids. We need to be thinking about the kids. We need to be doing for the kids. And I think if we just thinking more about the kids, I think it might help us as men and women too, man. Like, for real, man. To just kind of have some humanity with each other, some softness. And some empathy, I think, you know.
Yeah. Empathy, having an open ear, willing to listen. And that's the only way we're going to find solutions. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a painless process. But unless we start having honest,
Who this new era? Oh goodness, new era. Let's look. Let's bring up new era. Come on, new era. Come on, new
How
era.
y'all
What's
doing?
up? What's going on,
Same
bro?
shit, different toilet. All is well.
Hey, man, with your brother.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I
What you got
think we
to?
have
What's up?
to pulling off of both of the sexes. We
Okay.
have to deal with people not according to their sex, but according to their persons. Meaning that how we weigh things is how good or how much do they benefit the universe. So we're talking about actions more so than, you know, societal roles. And I think that's where we get caught up, and we mistaken that there are designed roles for both sexes to play. And
Okay.
I heard earlier Kat alluding to the fact that when a woman sacrifices her body and her mental stability
Mm-hmm.
and you know, in society, well, a man does that just as well. He sacrifices the time he could spend with his family to go out and, you know, practically slave, you know, for a wage that's not for admitting to what job he's doing in order to, you know, sustain a household for his family. So we all get
Mm-hmm.
pulled in different directions if we deal with it on a sex based level. But when we deal with the person, we're looking for values. We're looking for, you know, things other than, you know, the societal role. So I think we if we focus more so on the good someone does, then we'll be better off instead of trying to define what works, you know, for us off of their definitions, and we define it off of what works for our relationship and things of that nature. That's all.
Somebody, give me something. Somebody
okay,
got a
Nura,
bill on there. Give me something. Give me something.
I don't know. I'm a bit
So
confused what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that in every relationship, everyone has their defined roles, and if you're playing along to those roles, things for the most part can stay balanced and
Oh,
healthy.
no, what I'm saying, if you deal with societal norms, is predicated or based upon the sexes having these particular standards. If you go that way, then we're going to have these issues that we have now where we don't have the understanding. But if you step away from that and break it down further and deal with the person, removing the sex, then you're forced to look at values and how they help humanity, how they are harmonious with the universe, how do they contribute to the overall good, regardless of sex. It's just that person. And if you look at it on that level, you'll be more successful in how you deal with people in general. So in a relationship, it's not so much my mate is a woman. My mate has values, and I can see the good, not only in our actions, but also in, you know, the way she thinks and things of that nature. So
Well,
that
yeah, I
doesn't
think
become
I,
anyone
I,
who is
I,
sorry, go on.
yeah,
Deb.
I get what you're saying, and for me, that translates as spiritual because spirit doesn't have a sex, spirit doesn't have a form, spirit doesn't have a shape, spirit doesn't have a color. Spirit is a frequency and a spectrum of expression, of divine expression. And if you can meet somebody from that standpoint, spirit to spirit, spirit to spirit, and so you're accepting them from that standpoint versus how educated you are, what you have, what you look like, so forth and so on.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that that's something that we kind of instill in our kids in a sense, not necessarily looking at things as being good or bad, but what is helping and what is hurting. I saw that what was put in the chat, the question that she asked, what was that question? I can't remember what the question is, but it's that essence of um, when it comes to like toxicity in our community, like toxic femininity or toxic masculinity, those words kind of like buzzwords right now, but those things as not necessarily looking at it as a toxic feminine trait or a toxic masculine trait, but something that is just purely toxic. And toxicity is harmful, whatever it is. If it's toxicity that you're eating, if it's toxicity that you're absorbing, whether it's from music, whether it's from the media, those are things that are just harming the community, period. And in essence, it's harming if we're absorbing it as adults and then our children are seeing us absorbing it, then it's toxic to them. If it's toxic to our children, then it's toxic to the next generation. If it's toxic to the next generation, then it's toxic to our planet, it's toxic to the universe. So what are we going to create that is going to be helpful and that is going to help us grow as a community, help our children, the next generation grow. Um, Even like when Dr. Joy, the question that is asked in the beginning of her book, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, it's that question she asked. That question is asked, how are the children? So that's the thing that we have to continue to ask ourselves. Um, how are the children? What are they seeing that we're absorbing? What are they seeing that is toxic in our communities? And is that toxicity going to be sustained throughout the next generation, throughout, even how he said it, throughout the universe? So if we look at things more on a level of harmful or helpful, I think that it can kind of help us to understand what needs to be done as opposed to this is a masculine thing or this is a feminine thing.
I love all of that. I have 6 grandchildren, and my grandchildren,
Is
they live in California,
exactly.
and so
I mean, think about it this
sorry.
uh,
And so when I go see my grandchildren understand what karma is. They understand what I mean when I say spirit. You're a spiritual being. You're being a spiritual being, or you're being a human being. Are you consciously aware of what you're doing right now? And they'll come and look at me. Nana, are you consciously aware of what you're doing right now? And so you make it so that they understand these things within themselves and they can identify it. And it's not only them that has to learn it, you have to learn it first. And you have to exhibit it and exist in that, in what you believe. The older generation that I grew up, don't worry about what I'm doing, you do what I tell you to do. It can't be that anymore. You have to, these younger children need to see you doing it. They need to see it in you. They need to see it demonstrated, because what they see is what they're going to repeat. Not what you tell them, but what they see. If you tell them, I remember I grew up and I got popped in the mouth because my mother told me not to lie. But yet when the bill man came, well, so and so happened, or I ain't do that, or I ain't at home, or la 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 la. Mama, you just told a lie, Pop. you
Mm-hmm.
know, so you really got to be conscious of everything that you're putting out there, and everything that you're doing, and the expectations that you set around yourself and that you set upon your children. And do you have these conversations of what is expected of them as a human being, what is expected of them as as a spiritually conscious aware being? Do they know the difference in these things? Do they have a values? What is their value system on these things? What is their opinion and value of this world and its laws versus universal laws? These things have to be taught, they have to be explained, they have to be shown, and the benefit of them has to be shown. The value of them has to be shown. And right now, that is where we're lacking because we miss that ancestral influence of the value of we dropped the ball when it comes to the value of these things, and we look more at what this world has to offer as being more valuable than common sense, than spiritual common sense.
Mother, where can I go to learn more about this stuff? Because you seem so in touch with this side of things, and I think for me, that's something I would love to learn more about. Do you teach that? Do you have a channel yourself where you teach this kind of stuff?
I do have a channel. It's Valerie Ames.
It's
Also, yeah. I also have Blog Talk Radio, Mother with Wisdom on Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. I'm also Valerie Ames on Facebook, and I post prolifically. So you might want to mute my posts because I mean, when I go in, I go in. So there's a lot of depth there. Right now, I am in class to get my certificate to be a life coach, a spiritual life coach.
Wow.
So I'm trying to stay grounded in all I do.
Fantastic. No, I'll definitely check that out. I need that. I need that in my life. Hi, who's that? Who's that in the green? Is that Joey?
What's good?
Hey, Joey, what's happening?
My bad, y'all. I'm messing up the screen. My bad, y'all.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Joey is one of our younger generation. What do you think about the conversation?
Appreciate it. I actually enjoyed the conversation, y'all. I actually want to say to the ladies, I'm glad that y'all have a great conversation with each other. That's why I stay out to listen. Cause I don't know, I'm just laid back about it, but I appreciate the conversation. I think it's lit.
Thank you. We appreciate it. You hearing us talk about the younger generation, maybe how the problems that maybe we see. Do you see them also? Do you identify with that, or do you think that we're a bit maybe out of touch in what we're seeing?
I don't think y'all out of touch about it. I see a lot of dysfunction, in my time, because I'm in this generation. I'm young myself too, so I see a bullshit in my time. So, but I like my generation better than the Gen 4 because it's more liberated for me. So
like
I can navigate the world.
Liberated in what way? Do you think you guys have more freedoms?
I just like the freedom to be you. You know what I'm saying? You're able to be you. You don't have to hide. So
do you think they get away?
You don't have to hide like how my OG told me back then. And this time, what you mean get away? That's
Do you think more things are more behaviors that maybe the older generation would classify maybe being toxic or something that wouldn't have been acceptable maybe when we were coming up? Do you think people turn a blind eye more so to certain behaviors now than they did before? My dog is carrying on.
I mean, we learn a lot from y'all growing, you know what I'm saying? The older generation raised us, but there was some shit in the generation before fucked us in a way. You know what I'm saying? So there's no code, no principle, no integrity. And when I say integrity and code and principle, I'm actually going towards the man because I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of competition between older men and younger men. I don't have nothing to say about the woman that much because I'm not a person who like to complain about women. But this scenes is just me as a man in my time and the people before my time. This kind of little weird, odd in a way, you know, because you got OGs who taught the younger men trying to lead to the wrong direction in life. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of younger men, you see them a lot of retaliation, vice versa with women. You know what I'm saying? And you see a lot of combativeness, a lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of dysfunction. So it ain't just towards the man. You see younger women too, in a way, because you got older folks trying to think they know it all because they live longer. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that. That's not what I'm saying. It just some shit just do not make sense in this current generation. You get what I'm saying?
So do you think that the older generation? No, sorry. Go on.
I totally get what you're saying, because I see this coming up and it's showing itself, it's presenting itself in what we're seeing with the children that grew through the music industry, and the children that grew up through the entertainment industry. We're seeing and hearing the lives that they lived and how their childhoods were stripped from them, from the from that generation, from that older generation. And if all of these things were taken and stripped from them and they never had a childhood, then they don't know how to allow a childhood to the children that they bring into this world. And so the things that happen to them are passed on to the children of this world. And these children nowadays, a lot of them are being called the indigo, the rainbow, and the crystal children. These children are born in a time where they are the game changers. They are the ones who are not going to stand or keep allowing certain behaviors. And so in order to rebuild something new, the old has to be torn down, it has to be destroyed. And so that's what we're seeing. And I'm listening to this young man and I'm loving that you're speaking out and you're so articulate with it, and you have no problem with expressing the hurt that you've gone through just through your own observation of existence. And I wish we need more forums where this can happen, because it's about getting it out. Because the more you keep in, the more you keep hidden, the more you keep secret, the more victimized you are, and the more you victimize other people. Hurt people hurt people. And this is how you heal, by letting it come out. Like the old ones say, when you got a wound or a scratch or a scar, let the air heal it. Let the air hit it. Open up the windows, let some air in there to it. Let it get the freshness. Let the sun get to it. And that's what we've got to do. All of this stuff is in the dark, and we keep it in the dark inside of us, and we call it shadow behavior and all of this. You got to let the sun, and you got to let the light in. You got to let the healing begin. And yes, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. But when you rip that Band-Aid off and when you do whatever you need to do, healing will take place. And so that's what we have to look at. We got to get past it's going to hurt. We got to rip the Band-Aid off to heal it.
I appreciate the compliment, Miss Wisdom. I actually love what you're saying. I just feel like with people, they tend not to take the time to heal themselves, and they don't take the time to get to know who they are as an individual. It could apply to man and woman, but I'm just speaking to the individualist self, because there's a lot of people out there, they lack understanding of who they are, so they start compromising themselves to gain some sort of validation, approval, and from the people, because I'm not here to please everybody. You know, I already got myself, and I'm content with myself. Because you know why? Because I took the time to get to know me. You know what I'm saying? And in my time, my generation, there's a lot of lost souls out there, that which is sad to see in my time period. Because it's a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and a lot of people tend to try to find ways to avoid that pain, so they won't want to experience reality, you know. So they go out in the world um, and do things out of pleasure to escape reality.
You know, I really, like I said, I love. I'm taking notes as you speak, and I want you to expound on your concept of time and reality, and what we can do to bring healing in this now moment from the past that has been so horrific. What can we do in this now moment to make it better in the future? Because everything, and that's another thing, people have their own understanding of what time is. They don't have enough time, or they're bored, or they're this, or they're that. And that's another way in which conscious awareness has to happen, because those that know will tell you that time is an illusion. And so what do you feel, being that you're young? I'd really love to hear what you think about time, how time affects reality.
Well, you always said it yourself, time is illusion. A lot of people don't live in the present, so they tend to live in the past. And you see a lot of people have traumatic situation that bring to the present. And you could tell by when you look at a person, you could tell they're broken heart and broken minds. And they've been through hurt, been through pain, and nobody's not listening. You know, I witnessed people that commit suicide at 17 years old, and they had a chance to live today at my age. You know, um, the thing is, like I told you before, sister, like I believe that a lot of people out there, no matter what age they are, and you still hurting, you still in pain, and you still stuck in the past, and you can't let it go because the fear inside of you. Because a lot of people have fear of them, and sometimes people have that fear of death, the fear of moving on, the fear of not letting go, and it's a lot of traumatic situations that they go to therapy sessions, but the therapist may not understand them, may not hearing and not listening. And sometimes I advise people like get a life, then go to get therapy, for mental health, because you want a well-rounded person who can understand you and take the time to get, to listen. One thing people lack the most is that they lack patience and they lack understanding. But people worrying about bullshit, entertainment, foolishness, not sitting back, what they're doing in life. You know what I'm saying? People wasting their time, entertaining stupidity, I meant to say. And top of that, like I told you before, I believe that if you want to heal that wound, that hurt and that pain, you got to take a break for yourself and take that time to get to know you. Make sure you carry your mind, emotions, and your spirit and your physical. But first thing first is your mind, emotions, and spirit, your spiritual self. That's very important. A lot of people are not tuned in with their spiritual self. So that's why you see a lot of people who operate in a carnal self, not the spiritual self. So we all know the flesh is weak. We all know that. And you see a lot of broken people who are not spiritually aware within themselves. So that's why a lot of people repeat the same thing with the elders do, the older people do. You had young people like me, you know what I'm saying? Um, like in my time, that you see a lot of lost souls out there in all ages, because they don't have nobody to sit down to talk to, listen. Have family members, but some family members dog them out, mistreat them, tell them to be this way, be that way, not be emotional, don't express your emotions. That applies to man or women, but especially men. You know what I'm saying? Do this and X, Y, and Z. You know, go out here, go get some pussy, go do this, do this. Like I was telling people before about, you know, dudes on my channel, I was saying about dudes out there having sex with women, but they still feel empty in the inside. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a fulfillment, it's not fulfillment. And you got a lot of souls out there that are unfulfilled within themselves because their needs is not being met. They so worry about their wants, but they're not taking care of their needs. You know? And that's all I gotta say.
Well, baby, you said a lot right there, okay? I want you to know I'm so proud of you because you said a lot. And I hope, you know, I know that it's getting out there. And I just by listening to you, I know that there are more of you like that. And I know that that energy, y'all gonna shine. Y'all gonna radiate 10,000,
I
10,000
salute you,
fold.
brother. I salute you, man.
Yes,
It's good to hear you
yes, yes.
talking. It's good to hear young minds like you speaking. You know, I hear them words connecting, man. I hear you connecting, man. Everything is connecting, brother. You know, and we need more
Thank you, bro.
minds that's able to not only think what you're thinking, but able to articulate it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think it is, that you're able to articulate it. And yeah, man, I most definitely appreciate your commentary, man. And I'm gonna look into your channel, check you out, man. You know, most definitely gonna check you out. Tell
Definitely,
the
bro.
people about
Appreciate
the
it.
show, man.
You know what brought me to one community was I was on another show and I heard Uda ask a question: why are we always looking for messiahs? And that just caught me. And then you put that with this topic, you know, that we got today, and you really have it's the same question. It's the same question. Why the woman got to be the messiah to fix the broken man? You know, what is going on? What's the disconnect? And a lot what we don't understand is when spirit just spirit just gave this to me, and I'm sorry, it's about the earth is not a trap, it's a womb. And when the young brother was speaking on time and so forth and so on, when you understand that when you're ready to be born, it's time to be born. And you're going to go through that process, and that process is going to be painful. And if you want to you don't never want to get born, you want to stay in the womb, you can't do that. So when you understand that the earth, your existence, is not a trap, it's not a punishment, it's a place for you to expand your conscious awareness, your spiritual conscious awareness. And that when you are more conscious of yourself as a spirit than you are as a fleshly human being, you suffer less because you're less in your feelings, you're less triggered because you have more compassion. You're seeing from that third eye. You have a bigger range. You can see things that others can't see. So you can navigate a lot better. But so many of us think this earth is a trap, that we operate from that limitless, that limited.
You know what, sister? I'm actually glad you said that because I feel the same way. But sometimes I don't people who's tuned into that level of consciousness, and especially in my time area. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I'm glad you said that because you know we all going to struggle, we all going to fail. But I told somebody on my channel that I don't want success because my own success is going to defeat me one day. I'd rather deal with failures because failure is going to keep me learning and growing and evolved. You know, of course I'm achieve, but I don't want to stop learning. You know what I'm saying? And because when personally, I know for a fact that you know you're gonna learn the day you die. I said to somebody that in life that nothing can stop you besides death. Let me repeat that again. Nothing cannot stop you besides death. And I was talking to my brother El Nixon about it because we was talking about some real life situations. We was talking about the dark side of life. We was talking about some foul stuff. But it was so real and it's so intriguing that we was able to have man conversation and talk about real life situations, how we have fucked up situations, how I can sit here and say to you, sis, that I've been in a fucked up situation. I did fucked up shit in my past, and I am a fucked up person. And I don't think a lot of people are so tuned in to be authentic. Say that, and because there's a lot of people out there not truly take the time to be authentic, so instead they put a mask on and put a facade on to hide underneath what's hurting them, what they did wrong in their past within the family, what they did fucked up shit in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the person that I like to hear the bitter truth of life. And the thing is, I told my brother El Nixon that cause of my life, I'm not gonna let nothing stop me in my life. And the only thing that's gonna stop me in my life is death. As long as I'm living, I'm gonna be all right. That's all I gotta say.
Again, brother, I thank you for saying that, and I send love and peace your way. And I want to say this to you, that we are multidimensional beings. Our flesh is not the only aspect. It's only one aspect of us. It's only one side of us, but it's the only side that we're taught to keep focus on. And that's to keep us out of our focusing on our spiritual awareness. It's to keep us small. It's to keep us enslaved to this body, to the limitations. Okay? Because everything would change if everybody understood their spiritual abilities, their true spiritual nature, and they inherited their true spiritual sovereignty. Okay, your mind that's your thought body. Your emotions, that's your feeling body. Your physical body, that's your bio body. And your spiritual body is over all of them. It's greater than it's greater than your emotions. It's greater than your feelings. It's greater than your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. And you are not your physical body. You are spirit that resides within those things, that incarnated here to reside within those things. And I'm so glad that you're speaking out, because when you first came on, you spoke about people not saying or being aware of what they truly need and being so addicted to going after it. Just like crack. When you smoke crack, you're looking for that high. You chase that high. But you don't never get that first high back again. You never get it. You never get it. You never get what you need. And so you keep running and chasing and you do everything that you lose everything. You lose people. Chasing your satisfaction, and to be aware that, yeah, we make mistakes. But when I get up from that, when I say I'm sorry truly from my heart, can I get some love? Can I get somebody to see me? It's not about being validated. We are here to validate each other. We're here to see each other. We're here to love each other. We're here to recognize the connection that we have. Martin Luther King said, an injustice against one is an injustice against all. When you understand what that means, it means you cannot do something to the planet and not hurt yourself. It means you cannot do something to another being without it coming back to affect you. Those are universal laws, and there's no way to get past them. Okay, I'm gonna
And
let
I would
somebody else.
like to add to that, because I'm pretty sure most of us have heard that we're spiritual. Well, we're gods having a spiritual experience, or we're spirits having a human experience. I'm sorry, and And so one thing I think we have to understand, it's kind of like if you pay too close to attention to one part of your body, then the other weakens. So if you are only paying attention to your flesh, then your spirit weakens. But on the other side of that, we have to understand that sometimes, you have those people that become kind of so ethereal in a sense that they're so in that other dimension, or they're always in that spiritual, that they're not paying attention to their flesh either. And the flesh is needed in a sense so that we can communicate with one another, so that we can have those experiences with one another. But those experiences help us to get to our higher consciousness. So it's about balancing that flesh with that spirit, or that flesh with that um, with those other forces. And so it's kind of like if you pay too close attention to your, let's say, to your heart, but you're not paying attention to the other parts of your body, then those other parts of your body are going to weaken. So we have to understand how to balance it so that we are those spiritual beings, but we're also having that human experience, because through that human experience, we have these conversations like this. We start learning from one another, we start communicating from one another, and this is how we build our communities. And so when we start looking outside of ourselves for something else, we start looking, and religion teaches us to look outside of ourselves, but that was never what we were supposed to do. That was always something within ourselves. We look within, and then we can go and we can experience um, outside of ourselves in order to build with one another, in order to build those communities, in order to build relationships, because our communities, it's built on relationships. So I think that it's very important that we have these conversations, and it's very important that we understand kind of the spiritual side, but also the flesh side, but not giving too much into that. Because when we look at all of these things that are kind of become toxic in our communities, kind of catching that high, whether it be food, whether it be drugs, whether it be sex, that it creates that toxicity where we're constantly trying to grab for something. We're constantly trying to catch, like you said, I think it was Mother with Wisdom. Like you said, we're always trying to catch that next high.
That's a beautiful speech, sister. I'm actually glad you said that. I'm actually glad what Mother Wisdom said that too. A lot of people, how many words? Like I said, it's about being tuned in with yourself, and I actually agree with all of y'all what y'all said about balance. Have that spiritual and have that human experience. And I feel like a lot of people chakras are closed within themselves. That's why they're imbalanced. And um, hello?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Right? No,
Hello, are you
okay, no
there?
problem. Actually,
Oh.
the thing is that hello. Yeah, basically what I'm saying is that my part is that I feel like a lot of people chakras are closed, and that's why they're not reaching their kundalini, because this society has taught them to not taught them how to repress themselves by their nature. So a lot of people don't take the time to understand their alchemy within them, and this side to teach you how to suppress yourself, man and woman. You know, so I feel like a lot of people are not taking the time to get to understand their nature. It's not about conquering nature; it's about understanding your nature and one with the universe and one with the world. You know, I always be in the world, but don't be in the world. And it means to be in the middle, like the center of your being, the center of your beingness, be in the middle and be tuned into everything, but never repress or depress or deny all aspects of your essence. Because there's nothing wrong being who you are, and it's nothing wrong being allowing yourself to every essence of you, you know, for your mind, body, and soul. You know, that's my viewpoint to that.
You know, I love the fact that you know about chakras. I love the fact that you have the ability to speak these things and to talk about them and to put them out there because it opens up the awareness about the self. And if you understand yourself, if you understand your chakra centers, then you understand the different phases and the different cycles of where you pull your energy from. Where your anger is coming from, you know that's coming first through your root chakra and then through your solar plexus. You know these things. And if you know the colors, you there's so many different things that you can do to make this a universal conscious awareness when you know these things, and they help guide you. It's just like a walking stick. It helps guide you along because you instinct and intuition tell you exactly where you are coming from within your own being. You become very familiar with your own being, and the more familiar you become, the more conscious you become, and the more comfortable you become. And the more you're, like the other sister was saying, the less people are able to trigger you and push you out of your comfort zone. Less you're able to be manipulated, the less you're being able to be baited, because you know these things within you. You know when you see them outside of you. So the best place to learn what is within you and where it's coming from and what it means. And that's how you gain compassion and empathy for yourself first and for others. If you can't forgive yourself first, you ain't gonna be able to forgive nobody else.
Good one, sis. I actually like that. Um, Here's what I want to say too about that. I always say this: everybody can make mistakes, but where's your bounce back game? I like to call it, by you recovering from. See, I judge people for making bad choices, bad and good. I believe in harmony. If you're not in harmony within yourself, you're disharmony within yourself. And the thing is that I feel like everybody has the ability to bounce back from the situations and the circumstances. It's just that a lot of people because they don't have the information to navigate certain things. Like I said, it goes back to know thyself. You know, they're not enlightened within themselves, which I don't like the word enlightened, but I like to say they're not awakened within themselves. And the thing is, it goes back with the chakras. You know what I'm saying? That our chakras are in balance or balanced within ourselves, that energy within ourselves. And just like with the woman, I really hate the fact that a lot of men like to despise us women's divine femininity. And because you see, look at the ancients, you see how women are being praised, being sexual, being who they are. And I know in this society likes to depress the woman and denigrate the woman for allowing her to express who she is, not just based sexuality, but based who she is as a woman, by pride of her true essence of femininity. And I was just talking about chakras on my channel before, about Tantra and Kundalini, and I was talking about how that it's a beautiful thing when you see a woman expressing her sacral chakra, because her sacral chakra It's her creativity, her sexuality, her emotions. Then you got her heart chakra. You got the mind. You got the mind chakras. You got the third eye. You got all these chakras, all these 7 chakras. But a lot of people don't. There's a lot of dudes out there. I don't say a lot of people. There's a lot of dudes out there are not tuned in to understand that capacity, and they don't take the time to appreciate a woman's essence of her core essence of her beingness. Instead, they too worried about judging her based on what she do X, Y, Z. But that's my opinion from there.
I like what you said there. Just last week I spoke on my channel. I spoke on harmony and how you have to cultivate harmony within yourself before you can cultivate harmony within even within a relationship or within your community. So if you are in essence, so that opposite of harmony in essence, when you think about music, is dissonance. And so that is going to lead to, if you have dissonance within yourself, then that's going to lead to that external dissonance or that this external disharmony, and that's going to spread. It's going to spread to the collective. And so it's very important that we learn how to have that harmony within ourselves, and learn how to cultivate it within ourselves before, it kind of spreads. And as we can see in our communities, that it has spread. And so we have to learn how to get that back. And we often, chakras, or in Kemetic Reiki, we call it energy centers. And those different points, we haven't understood how to activate them, especially when it comes to women as that sacral chakra, because we're either using it as kind of in a manipulative way, or in a toxic way, or we just completely shut it off. We shut off our creativity. And then also, even when we're talking about like in the throat chakra and things like that, where we're not speaking up and saying how we truly feel. And just like you said, like in your generation, you do feel that you're able to be more of yourselves. I know I grew up in a generation where we were kind of just told, don't ask questions. You were kind of told, this is the way it is. And you had that fear of, if you spoke up, then you were going to get in trouble. You were going to be chastised. So, and I know with our own children, we are trying to cultivate that in them, where they can speak up and they can ask questions. And so it's very important that we continue that. And I find it refreshing just to hear you speak on it, just because sometimes you do wonder. I've had this conversation with some few people. You kind of wonder if the next generation are we doing something? Is something happening? Are we planting those seeds? And so I do find it refreshing that we are having a conversation, because a lot of times we have conversations with people who are our own age, but it's like, is it being passed along? Are there others in the next generation who are getting that? Because that's what's important. It's important that we're passing this on. It's important that the next generation is going to be able to kind of to take that, not necessarily take it, but share in the efforts that we need in order to build something that's going to last for generations after us.
I got a question for you, my hot. The question is, okay. So the question is, why do you feel it's refreshing to hear this? I'm just curious.
Well, I think what we see a lot is, even if you look, because I think one thing that I feel is that every generation has had a part to play in where we are now. So we can't just kind of say it's just one generation that has done it, but it's kind of like we built on it. And so it's refreshing because sometimes you don't hear a lot of young people. I'm not sure how old you are, but you don't hear a lot of young people speaking the way that you're speaking. And so I'm saying that it's refreshing to hear it because it's showing me that we are going to be able to build on, we're building on something that is going to pass, that's going to pass on, you know, because a lot of times we think we have to have millions of people in order to make change, but change can happen with one person, and then you build on that with others. You know, it always starts with self. You know, even when we say know thyself, it starts with self, and then you are going to be like you building on what you're building on and the people that you're building with and the people that you're speaking to, and then that's going to kind of spiral into others, because you are putting out that energy out there for others to get attached to in order to create that change that we're seeking. I think sometimes, like, I know for me, I look and I'm just, you know, and I think even Kat kind of said it earlier, just like what sometimes it can seem self-defeating in a sense, because what are we doing? Like, who are we talking to? Are we just talking to the same people, or are there people actually listening? Are there people actually taking, you know, are there people not just listening, but taking action? Because true knowledge is when you take action, not just when you absorb it or just read a book, but when you take action. So what I hear from you is not that you're just absorbing it, but that you're actually using that knowledge, that you're actually putting it into action, and you're you're speaking it in a really in a effectual way, as opposed to just I'm just going to be talking just to hear myself, you know, hear myself speak. So that's why I say it's refreshing.
Mm.
I want to jump in again and just build on that. The young brother mentioned chakras and he mentioned tantra, and I just put in the chat room about why it's so refreshing to me is because every time we build with another being, it's having a intimate I put it are having an intimate intercourse by communicating from spirit. And so when you understand that we are seeding each other with the thoughts, with this spiritual conversation, we are seeding each other. We are planting seeds in our gardens, in each other's gardens. We are expanding each other's consciousness. So if we could actually learn, see, there's so much more to intercourse than having sex. Some people would call this having mind sex. This is intercourse. This is intimacy. This is the truth of it. This is the truth of it. And this is the knowledge that needs to spread. This is what gives you satisfaction. This satisfies your spirit. And when your spirit is satisfied, everything is complete within you. There is completion. And from that place, you can grow whole because it's holy. Okay, I'm out.
You know what, sis? Actually, I like what you said, and Muhammad said too. I said that a woman is maternal being, and there's a lot of dudes out there don't take the time to understand a woman's composition, her language, I like to call it, and taking the time to understand her core essence of who she is. Instead, they look at the surface, the superficial stuff, but they don't take the time to go underneath the iceberg. And because I disagree with most men say, they be like, oh, you got to stimulate women's mind, correct? And I disagree with it because there's more to a woman than just the mind. So I always tell dudes on my channel, I say a woman's a maternal being, maternal instinct. You know, because a woman's a natural teacher when it comes down with her kids, her family, you know what I'm saying, and take care of home, how she operate with her man, how she operate with her peoples, her family, her kids, how she what makes her feel whole and complete on the inside, internally. And a lot of men don't take the time to see the small details of a woman. Instead, they always look at the big stuff, but not seeing the detail. So when I see a black woman wear a weave and wear colorful clothes and all this type of stuff, I don't see it from a dysfunctional perspective. How most men say, oh, you know, she got tracks on her hair, this and this and that. Remember, I did tell you about the sacral chakra. When a woman expresses her creativity and she got all these colors and all she does her nails, she does her hair, she wear colorful clothes, she had colorful hair and all this type of stuff. I always say there's nothing new in the sun, but she's expressing her creativity, how she feels inside internally. And when I say stuff, most men looked at me from a perspective that they overlook at me. They look at me, I'm crazy saying that, because they think from perspective of toxicity and dysfunctional perspective of things, while I'm looking at it from a higher perspective, because it goes back what I said earlier about the law of understanding of one of the yin and the yang. And to me, like I said before, a lot of men don't know how to appreciate the essence of a woman from its own core. And I did mention Tandra earlier because I talked about it on my channel before. And I feel like in this society, let me ask y'all ladies this question. Do you feel like you're depressed as a woman to be who you are as a woman in this society? That's the question I ask y'all ladies.
So you said repressed being in this society. Is that what you asked?
Yeah, depressed, not depressed in a bad way. When I say repression. They feel hindered.
Let me think about that. I think that we do operate more of a kind of a patriarchal society. So in essence, that does lead to us to feel that we are not able to express ourselves like we would desire to. And sometimes we don't even know what that means because we haven't been able to do that for so long. So we have normalized, in essence, using that word, repressed, we have normalized that in a sense. So we don't even know what full expression for us as women may even look like. So even when you talk about wearing certain things, or even expressing our sexuality, we're kind of grabbing at something in order to feel like we're expressing ourselves. So we would have to get to really know ourselves without all of the external things around us. And that's very difficult to do because we are affected by everything that we see. So I would agree and disagree with kind of what you're saying, because also sometimes when we see certain things and we see certain women who we feel are able to express themselves fully, we are trying to look and be like those other women because we feel like they're able to express themselves. They're able to kind of rest in their femininity, but we and I speak from a black woman's perspective, sometimes we don't feel that way, because if we do, and I've been on other platforms, and I have had this conversation before where I say, well, this other woman can express themselves and it can be seen as spicy or attractive. But when a black woman starts to express herself in the same way, it's seen as toxic. So a lot of times it's very difficult to understand that balance as a black woman in expressing ourselves, because are we expressing ourselves out of freedom, or are we expressing ourselves out of toxicity? And so I would say yes, in a sense it is repression, because we are not using what's native to us. So when I say that English, just English period, that's not our native tongue. So spiritually, on a spiritual level, even when we say certain things and we use certain words, that is not native to us. And so in essence, we could actually be cursing ourselves as opposed to building ourselves up. So that's the same with a lot of things, a lot of images. We constantly see certain images. And so instead of being able to understand what those images are actually doing to us, certain music, and understanding what that music is doing to us, and having to really spend time with ourselves on a purely spiritual level, which is difficult because we have all of these other things that we have to do. And not saying that men don't have to do the same thing, but I think as women, like I said, we kind of live in that patriarchal society. So it is a little bit more difficult to understand that balance of expressing ourselves in our purely divine feminine energy. I would be interested in what someone else had to say on that.
I would love to jump in, and I agree with you. And I want to bring it into the spectrum of, again, the word repressed and what that word means. Repressed is a judgment. Repressed is, when you hear that word, immediately, what do you instinctively and intuitively, what comes up, what images comes up, what words come up, what signs and symbols come up to you? For me, to be repressed is the same thing as being oppressed, is being held down, is being held back. So that is not our natural nature as women. First of all, as women, we are wombs. We receive, and from what we receive, we give birth to. So when that young brother was saying about the creativity and the colors and the so forth and the so on, we give birth to conscious awareness that others observe. That is known. That is what the matriarchy was all about. That was the wisdom that was known about the womb. That was the wisdom that was known about the space of the womb. That was the wisdom that was known about the timing of the womb with the moon cycles and the menstrual and the different time periods and the different phases that a woman goes through. And that during those different phases, she is going to be hormonal. There are going to be changes that are going to be going on with her. And also that through others' judgment, through worrying about how somebody else is going to see us, how somebody else is going to look at our baby or our creation or what we've given birth to. Yes, we repress ourselves. We hold back. We don't give fully. Why don't we give fully? Because we don't feel protected. We don't feel encouraged to be all that we could be, because the patriarchy has done that, and it has done that intentionally. And you have to understand why, because the production is limited to benefit a certain amount. If all the women were let loose from their repression and oppression, do you understand the abundance that could be on this planet? Can you imagine the things? And not only that, but the freedom that the woman has allows others to have. Because the more free she is, it gives others permission to be just as free, to be themselves, to be their authentic selves, to see what they can create from a place of not being judged, but that, oh, everybody can create. Let's see what you got. Oh, that's beautiful. Let's see what you got. Oh my goodness, look at how creative that is. It goes to freedom. And we are enslaved by this system, by this matrix system. We are enslaved by our senses. We are enslaved by our very conditioning. We are enslaved by putting the flesh over the spirit. If you gave the spirit as much attention as you put on the spirit, on the flesh, whoo, it'll be a different world, which is coming. That is being born. It is coming. And that's why you see everybody becoming so uncomfortable with these changes, and those who are violent becoming even more so, because they know what's coming.
That kind of what you said, it makes me think of um, that kind of that receiving of the women being the receiver, and it's that reciprocity in a sense, but also thinking about manifestation. So when the divine masculine and the divine feminine come together, you can manifest some amazing things. I mean, give a woman your what you desire, and I'm saying a woman that truly is aligned with you, not just any woman, but someone that's aligned with you, and it's planting that seed, just like you plant a seed in a woman's womb, and it creates that life. It's that same thing. You put a desire of yours into a woman who is aligned with you, and you watch that manifestation happen. And that's what even sexual intercourse is. It's a form of manifestation. And so it's one of those things where, if we are, just like she said, if we were truly able, all of us truly able to be creative in our spirituality, and even within balancing that within our flesh, then the what we would be able to create on this planet, because this is where we live on this planet. We are here for a reason. We're here for this time. We were brought here at this time for a reason, for this time, for these conversations, for the things that we are supposed to be manifesting. So it's a remarkable time to be in, but it's also a time that we have to take seriously, so that we can understand what our jobs, our purpose is, as being in that feminine energy, and also as our brothers being in their masculine energy.
I love what y'all ladies say, man. This is a beautiful conversation. And I definitely agree with both of y'all. And this is how I feel too, because I believe that if you allow a woman to be allow herself to be liberated as a whole, the world will be a different place. Just much wisdom said, because that's why I asked y'all, like, ladies, that question: do you guys feel hindered based on society for not allowing yourselves to be free? Because I don't like to see stuff like that. I was saying on my channel the other day that if you have a nation and you reduce a woman in your nation, then how we gonna come together? You know, and because I don't believe, from my perspective, I don't believe that a man should denigrate or reduce a woman no matter what she does with her body. What really most motivated to say this because, you know, I was born out of a prostitute, and I see the world differently. The thing is that um I would say that, it's a beautiful thing to hear both y'all ladies to say these things because that's what I've been preaching about on my channel. It's okay to be who you are and allow yourself to be you. That's why I told you earlier, Mahat, that at my age, I'm only 23 years old. That I like this generation because I could be myself. I don't have to hide who I am. I don't have to worry about, what I'm saying, like if I like anime, if I'm into chakras and I'm into tantra and I'm into the certain things, that, and don't get me wrong, there's people out there going to judge me for the things that I preach about, the things I talked about, you know what I'm saying? And then with me personally, because because with me, y'all are a reflection of me and I'm a reflection of y'all. So, y'all my sisters and I'm your brother, even though we're not biological, but still, we come from tribes. The thing is, with me personally, I don't believe reducing and denigrating women in my nation. And I know most men don't even think like that because I have a lot of men attack me for having this perspective of things. So, because I don't have a lot of male friends to this day, you know what I'm saying, because of the way of my thinking, the way my mindset set up is, and circumstances. So the thing is, I actually appreciate y'all ladies for having these viewpoints. I really do. That means a lot to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm loving this conversation and um, each of our different perspectives, but also the commonality amongst what we're saying as well. And I think all three of us come from that are talking right now, come from different generations, and so I think it's amazing that we're able to come together right now and have this conversation, and it shows that I think that we are all continuously growing and striving for the greater that is coming. And I think if we identify that, I think it's powerful what we say to ourselves, in our thoughts that we create. Because a lot of times, and I think I the wisdom, I think she said about our thoughts, in understanding that a lot of things that we think about ourselves, and when we talk about like toxicity in our communities and toxicity that we think, that doesn't necessarily come from us, that comes from maybe something our parents said to us, something that our friends, or what we've heard in the media about ourselves. So I think that when we start creating that for ourselves and kind of creating that space to say, this is who I am and this is what I create, that raises our consciousness in order to be that creative force, that divine, that creative force, to be that creative spirit and have that creative spirit within our own selves in order to create what we desire to create our own reality, as opposed to someone else's reality, as opposed to saying, this is who you should be. I think that's something that even I got a lot in our generation from different people in our generation, someone telling us who we are supposed to be. And so, just like she said in the chat, we are a divine being. You know, when we think about whatever you call the divine, I commonly say divine intelligence, because you know you don't want to necessarily put the divine in a box, just like you don't want to put your own self in a box. And so we have to recognize how to take ourselves out of that box and those labels that have been placed on us, and create whatever it is that we desire to create. And we do it within um, our own thought processes, but understanding how to create that in the first place. A lot of times we don't even know how to create that because we have dumbed ourselves down, and even that kind of repressed state that we're in. And all of us, in a sense, I believe, are kind of have that kind of repressed state, or like she said, being oppressed creates that lower vibration where we don't feel like we can actually create our own realities, or we can't have certain things that we desire because of that oppression, or because those thoughts that have been placed on us.
I want to jump in and just build on what the two of you have just laid the groundwork so wonderful for. And that is really understanding from the point of intimacy, from the point of intercourse, and what we do with our bodies and what we do with our spirit, as males and as feminine, as females, and as spiritual beings. And I want to bring in the topic of sex magic. And my sister Ma'at, you spoke about that briefly. You didn't give it that term, but that's what you were speaking of. And I want to bring in the topic on that. And so you have beings trying to manifest something beautiful, but whether it's material things or spiritual things or goals or a baby or whatever it is, you're trying to manifest something, you're trying to get something to incarnate into this reality. And the two of you are coming together to do this. But you have to be in the right, both of you need to be in the right spiritual conscious awareness in order for what you're seeking to materialize to be holy and to be whole and to give you the satisfaction that you're looking for. If one of you or both of you are coming from a broken place, then what you're bringing into this realm and into this reality is also going to be broken. Those are the simple mathematics. It is going to be deficient. It is not going to be satisfying. It is going to have karmic impacts because of what you're doing, because of the misalignment of your chakra systems, the misalignment of your spirits, the misalignment of your emotions, the misalignment of your thoughts. And so when you have these misalignments, that's where the toxic situations and circumstances and dysfunction comes from. These things are created just like children are created. Toxic thoughts are created this way. Toxic feelings are created this way. A sickly body, a diseased body, a toxic body is created this way. And it's communicated, and this is what's given, and this is what is received. And we have not learned to look at it in these terms, because many have been taught. I'm looking at so many of these conscious cults and the things that are taking place within them, and how they're being deconstructed, and they're being deconstructed by the things that were sown through sexual magic. And to sit back and to observe that, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of understanding the mathematics, the universal laws of the reckoning that is happening. And so, in going forward, in order to build a better kingdom, in order to build a better temple, we have to teach these things, that when you set your intention, make sure it's coming from a stable place. Make sure it's coming from a spiritual place. Make sure it's coming from a healthy, holy place. And then make sure the person that you're partnering with that is on the same page as you, and y'all at the same frequency and on the same level. And you got to be authentic with each other. This can't be no faking it or halfway, or no. That's why we have the world that we have right now. That's why we have the chaos that we have, because we've given birth to this chaos. We nurture this chaos. We feed it and we keep it alive.
Actually,
Yeah,
I love.
I definitely. Oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ma. I ain't gonna interrupt.
No, I was just I'm not gonna be long. I agree with that. It kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, what is going to be um helpful and productive. So making sure that whomever you align with, that it is helping. What is it helping? What is it producing? Um, what is the end result that it's actually going to be producing? Is it helping the next generation? Is it helping yourself? Is it helping your family? Is it helping your community? Is it helping the universe? Is it helping, is it helping the planet? So I think that's very important that we do that work, and that we're not just jumping into situations, whether those are friendships, whether those are, it can be a job, it can be whatever, and especially relationships, um, without first understanding that alignment, and if it's actually producing a healthy result for yourself, for your family, for your community, and so on.
Actually, I agree with both of y'all. Like I said, I feel like there's a lot of people out there being disingenuous within themselves when it comes to interaction with other people. And I like what Mother Wisdom said earlier, what she said about primary intentions. And just like what Maha said about your intention as well. And that's because you got to know what people's primary intentions as well. If they are authentic with you, genuine with you, or they're just disingenuous. And with me personally, I don't got time for disingenuous people, so I just wipe them away, and I just don't got time for the games. That's why I talk about everything universally, that you got to meet people who's in the same disposition as you, and that's mainly it right there, ladies. That's all I gotta say.
Um, it was something you just said. Oh man, sorry. It was something you just said that I wanted to speak on, but yeah. Well, let me ask you this: what is your channel?
Oh, my channel is Joey the Serpent. Just write Joey the Serpent.
Okay, okay,
Matter of fact, yeah, just write that down. Let me know you subscribe. And
okay.
my
All right.
Mother Wisdom. You can follow my channel too, Joey the Serpent. You can write it down. Follow me, and you're gonna see an unk in the third eye.
Can you type
Okay.
it in the chat, beloved? Can you type it in the chat for me? Or can you
Man,
spell it out?
yeah,
Thank
I
you,
can catch
baby.
you. Oh, Cat got it right there. Joey, thank you, Cat. Appreciate it.
Okay, I don't see it. I don't see it.
You don't see the unk in the third eye?
Um, no, type it in the chat so I can click on it.
Okay, I got you. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, this worked though. Yo, Kat, can you try to see share my channel? Cause it's not working on my phone.
If you just type the name in there, I can go in the search on YouTube and find you. I just want to make
Yeah,
sure I
I
got the
already put the
spelling.
name on there on the chat. Yeah, I already typed it in. Here, we'll redo it again.
Yeah, because I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yo, Mahat, do you find me?
Yeah, I see you.
Okay.
Let me refresh and I'll be right.
No,
Okay.
Kat, I don't hear you.
No, we cannot hear you, Kat. I don't see you subscribe. Do you subscribe, Mahat?
Let me see.
Sorry, appropriate.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Hold on.
I'm not sure if I show up or not when I subscribe. Let's see.
Don't mind the videos. When you see the videos, the ladies, all that, just to let you know, and let me give you a refresh course. There's a deep there's a decent, oh my God, I can't say the word. It's symbolic. And my sister Kat
Okay.
and Edie can tell you about me, because they know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta understand that all the stuff you see on my channel, all that stuff is spirit. Please don't look at it from a carnal state of mind. Look at it from a way deeper perspective and understand the message I give out. Because I did in my past, just letting you know, and I'm very articulate with certain things. So I know it may confuse my audience to certain things because you might look at me like, oh my God, he's so freaky. No, please don't look at me like that. It's just way more deeper.
Okay, I feel you.
All right, hold on. Something ain't right. Ma, are you Valerie?
No,
Yeah.
mine is gonna come up as my aunt speaks.
All
Let's
right.
see.
No, I'm Valerie Ames. Mother with Wisdom is
Okay.
Valerie Ames. Yeah, I just
Okay, I see you.
subscribed.
Okay, I
And
see you.
brother,
Nice.
let me just let me say this to you. The fact that I love the fact that you're apologetic and you're explaining everything, but from the spiritual side of sexuality is so natural, and I'm so glad that you are comfortable enough with yourself to first of all share that you came from a sex worker. I love that about
Mm-hmm.
you. And second of all, that you know about the alignment and the attunements and the spiritual nature of Tantra. and all of that. So a lot of people, yeah, they're not going to understand you, and they're going to judge you based upon simply the optics of things. But don't worry about that. You just keep radiating who you are, and those that can really see that frequency and know that frequency, you will attract them to you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I don't want you to look at me like, oh my God, he's a freak. A lot of people misunderstood me, So, but I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, because I thought he was gonna judge me. I'm like, oh snap. So appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. The way you can, when you come across that, articulate it. Break it down for them. Break it down what spiritual intimacy and spiritual sex and relating and relationships is all about. That is the most natural thing in the world. And it should always be able to be a conversation without the judgment. And you will put people, they will have a different, then listening to you being your authentic self will help them be in their authentic self without the judgment, without shame, blame, guilt, or triggering. So it's a beautiful thing, beloved.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's what I'm here for. I'm not obviously, Cat could tell you, I'm not no judgmental person. I'm more a person of understanding. And I can't wait for y'all ladies to show up my live stream whenever I do live again. I would like to see y'all ladies there. And we can sit down, we can have a mutual deep conversation and talk some real stuff. It'll be nice.
Beloved, you can always reach me at valerieames@gmail.com and let me know. Send me an
Hold on.
invite to your show link.
Can you oh snap. Can you say that again so I can write that down?
Yes. Valerie Ames 1965 at gmail.com.
Hold up. Can you spell Valerie?
And that's for you. Yes. VALERIE.
Yeah.
Ames is AMS. And that's 1965 at gmail.com. And Sister Ma'at, if you would like me to come on your show or you have a show you'd like for me to listen to, please send me an email and an invite.
Yeah, I would. Can y'all see the private chat? I'm gonna put my email in the private chat. It's speakmyodd@gmail.com. It's real simple, but I'll also write down your email.
I don't see on a private chat, Mahat. And you said VALERIEAMF 965 at gmail.com.
Let's see. Maybe I put in the wrong place.
Okay, it's in the chat room below.
Okay, no problem.
And I want to say thank you, beloveds. And I'm getting ready to step away. But I thank you so much for building, and I thank you so much for sharing. And I hope this reaches many.
Miss Beloved, Miss Wisdom, you said you put on the chat
Yeah.
on the chat room.
Yes.
I don't see your email on here.
Okay.
Can you redo it again if you don't mind?
Yeah. It says Valerie Ames, and then 1965 at gmail.com. And Valerie Ames is all small letters. Miss Cat, can you help him with that?
Cause it's not popping up on my screen. Just let you know, Miss Wisdom.
Oh, okay.
So
I put it
yeah,
in
it's
the
not
public
popping up on the
one.
screen.
Okay, let me see. I think I can put it in the chat. Let me see. On
Can you
private.
just pull up?
Okay.
Cause I want to see. Where do I go? Private chat.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. I put it in the private chat too.
Where do I go to the private chat on here? Cause I'm a different. I know I'm in yours.
It's down where there are three. There's a couple. There's a voice box, and then there's a little voice box things with a lock on it. I guess that's what you call it. The little. It's down. Scroll down.
Let me see.
That's what I do on my computer. I'm on a laptop, so it may be different. Uda, you not
Yeah, I'm
here?
on my. It's okay. I wonder.
Okay.
Where's Cat at? Oh,
Yeah.
hold on. I may see y'all. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, okay, I see you. Okay, both of y'all's. I got y'all's. And all right.
Okay, Brother DeWitt said that I don't know if that's a brother or not. Just DeWitt said.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh my God, guys! I had to come in as one community. I got booted out.
DeWitt says it's in the regular chat too.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, we
I'm
can
so
hear you.
sorry, guys.
Cat, you here? And Miss Wisdom, I got
to you below.
I got all your email. Just letting you know, I got all the screenshots. So
You got
yeah, I got everything.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Why is it still echoing like that? It's so weird.
Well, I still hear you echo. Oh.
Thank you so much for the build, you guys, and be blessed, stay safe, and I love you all.
Take care, Miss Wisdom. See you another time.
Thank you.
Okay, I removed myself, so hopefully that helps. Sorry, Joey. I was completely in purgatory. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Oh, sorry, Maya. Sorry, Mother. I didn't get to say bye to you guys.
I was wondering where you was at. You was quiet. So
my mic, I don't know. I think my connection messed up. You guys couldn't hear me. I could hear you guys. Not that it mattered because I was just listening for the most part, but I was like, wow, this is such a good conversation. And thank you, Joey, as well, for coming on. I did take a screenshot of their emails if you didn't get it, and I can send it to
I got all the screenshots, so I'm good my part. So I got everything. I appreciate this opportunity for coming up on your show. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming out. It was great. I was learning a lot. I was listening for the most part. And one community said to you guys as well for coming up, and just it was a very enlightening conversation, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely subscribe to Joey the Serpent's channel. I'm not even going to attempt to put his link because I'll probably end up messing it up. But if you just search Joey Serpent, it will come. It's got the Eye of Horus, right?
Yeah, the Eye of Horus. Yep, but with the Yep.
Yeah, in the.
And for let the audience know, Kat, I gotta let the audience know. Please don't look at me like a freak, y'all. I'm very articulate, very artistic, very creative with my stuff. So just want let the audience know.
Come there with an open mind.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
Because I'm already being a Cat. Just let you know, people are looking at me crazy. So
I know we've had some interesting conversations, but that's you. That's what you enjoy, and it's part of you. And please check it out. And and I'm sure you'll learn something.
Yep.
And definitely check out Valerie Ames' channel and My Art Speaks. I'm not sure if she said she had a channel or not, but definitely check her out or give her a quick search and see if she comes up, because she's amazing. All the ladies were amazing. I would definitely love to talk to them some more. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning. That's probably I've been not as high energy as I usually am, but no, thank you so much, Joey. Are you gonna be doing a stream later or?
Not today though, because I'm gonna have to get some rest, take care of some things later on. But I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Kat. Appreciate it. Hope I see you around the corner, the Serpent's World.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had talked to your sister. You know what I'm talking about. So I gotta give her a call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but all right, well, I'm gonna let you go. Right, you take care. You take it easy.
All right, peace. I'll speak to you soon. Bye. All right, guys, this is perfect timing. It's 1 a.m. for me. I don't know what time it is where you are, but my voice is going. My eyes are starting to close. But that was an amazing chat. Thank you again to Mark Speaks and Mother with the Wisdom and everyone who joined the panel today and was in the chat. We really appreciate your guys' support. Of course, sub to One Community. We're going to be doing another stream, hopefully tomorrow, probably early evening. And we'll probably dual stream it again on my channel. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. And it's just perfect time to end it. All right, take care. Bye.